right, what's up? Welcome everybody. Today we are going to, as he said, sort of piggyback on the excellent stream that our good buddy Cotel did the other day, where he was discussing the anatomy of a simp and the idolatry involved in simpology, which is to essentially worship women in various forms and fashions, and that it's a kind of weakness. So today we're going to try to focus on a lot of practical stuff. Hopefully we can bring in some points that insights that Cotel didn't get into that I wanted to cover, because I thought he picked some really good clips that were examples. So we're looking at a few of those. We're also going to go off into some other topics where we get into things that I see as big blind spots in a lot of the dudes that I see throughout the orthosphere, throughout the religious sphere, throughout the conspiracy world. And one reason I could speak to that is because we've had a unique position to where in the last, 5 or 6 years, we've traveled a lot. We've been to coast multiple times, been out of the US to the UK, given lectures there. So I've gotten to see a good section of various types of niche audiences that we have. We have a movie related audience, we have a conspiracy related audience, we have a kind of a history academic section audience, people even into literature. We have an audience that's into obviously theology, religious debates, and so forth. And I would say that we have a large percentage of Chads in our audience. We've got a high Chad percentile going, which is good. But I notice also there's a lot of the spheres overlapping here where the dudes have got to step it up. And that doesn't mean that I think I'm better than you guys. I was very much I'd say when I was about 19, 20, 21, I was a pretty emotional kind of dude, and I got really into philosophy and theology, and I'm not saying that you're bad or it's wrong to be into those things, but one thing that happened when I got really deep into that stuff when I was young was that it ended up being kind of a focus, almost in a kind of an obsession, to where a lot of things were neglected in my life. And people would at times point this out, and I would just kind of dismiss it, hand wave it, or try to argue with them, because I was always debating people. Which again, debating isn't wrong. Being into theology isn't wrong. But coming out of, I guess, of a Protestant mindset and a kind of a, I'm going to do all of this on my own and figure it all out on my own and do this. What I didn't realize was practical stuff and its importance, and propriety. What's proper, what's appropriate at different times and in different ways in different seasons. And we talked about this the other day because when we were discussing words that are used, is it inherently wrong to use this or that term? Am I a bad person? Should I call people out on the internet when they say a bad word? And it brought to mind the book of Ecclesiastes because, first of all, there's so many people in the religious sphere who are hyper self-righteous to the point that even terms and ideas that are discussed in the Bible itself, they freak out and lose their mind over. For example, the word hoe or a whore or something like this, like you shouldn't speak of such things. Well, there's giant chapters in Proverbs about this. What are you talking about? So this sort of faux religiosity and moral superiority is just sickening. And part of the reason why young guys, I think, get trapped into this radical mindset. Look, guys, it's not accidental that, as an example, communists appealed to the youth. Look up the Maoist youth. What Mao did was he concocted this sort of idealized plan for a future, utopian China or whatever, right? And what he did was he appealed to the youth because youth are idealistic, overzealous, they have no life wisdom and experience, And so they will buy into and wholeheartedly just offer themselves up in a kind of self-immolation to unrealistic, non-practical, radical solutions or ideologies. And all of us fall into that. I fell into that when I was a young person. And a lot of times, it doesn't mean you're stupid. It's a lot of times it's intelligent people who fall for this when you're young. You're overly idealistic. You think, I'm going to reestablish the Byzantine Empire. We're going to reestablish medieval crusading knight Teutonic bullshit or something, right? This is what you think is somehow plausible. And this also, I think, is something that you just have to live through. So a lot of the people in the sphere of commenting on betas and gammas and simps and red pill and marriage and all this stuff, one thing that's a little annoying is that it's a lot of people who don't have a lot of life experience. And I'm not saying I have the most life experience, but there's a reason why, for example, in the traditional religious sense, most people who give advice or who speak on such things are elders, and elders were actually older men. We were discussing on Twitter the situation where young guys want to be really self-righteous and really idealistic, and it can go for women too. I'm not singling out young guys. Women, absolutely, maybe even more so. Women are super self-righteous and piety signaling or something, because the idea is, well, if somebody mentions their degeneracy online, or if we find some degenerate, we pile on and we just sort of like call it out, or I don't know, take some conservative commentators having a divorce with his wife. Okay, I don't follow any of that stuff. Never follow this stupid drama. The entire internet piles on to give their moral superiority positions and how they're morally superior and who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. And have you noticed that typically you don't see a lot of older people doing that, except there are boomers who do this, who are perhaps immature themselves. Okay, so what I said to this was that one of the reasons that you get less self-righteous as you get older is that you realize that you haven't made mistakes yet. You haven't made a lot of big mistakes. And I don't care how holy you are, how righteous you are, if you're 20, 21, 22, right? And the 20, 25 that's like the worst period. Every 25-year-old thinks they know everything. But you haven't actually made some huge mistakes yet. And guess what? You will. So I don't care who you are and how holy and pure you are. You're going to make probably some big mistakes in your life. Okay, you're probably not the 0.1% who can somehow avoid making a huge mistake. Some people do. There are very rare occasions where people, typically make very good decisions throughout their life and avoid some kind of big something. But most people are going to have a period where they were, I don't know, crazy drunk driving around and they wrecked their car and they lost their license for a few years, or they slept around and got a minor STD, or they, I don't know, had an illegitimate child, and then there's, they stole from work when they were, closing up, and then they got busted. And so, most people have had something where they made some mistakes and they then hopefully learn from those mistakes. And part of the issue that we want to highlight with virtue ethics is that virtue ethics includes this notion beyond a radical legalistic idea of rule worship. We've been talking about that a lot lately because many of the Protestants, for example, who called in over the last few weeks, or the evangelicals or whatever, they have this extreme view of laws and rules, and that every law and rule is identically the same as God's eternal moral character. And so the laws and rules can never change. And so every proscription must be equivalent to divine revelation. And so you can see how this gets kind of absurd, right? There might be situations where the church at one point in the ancient world is dealing with something that is unique to that case, and not applicable to everybody everywhere. But a sort of rule worshiper man hyperfixates on something like that and doesn't take into account any kind of flexibility. Likewise, the other extreme, right, that's a sort of a Pharisaical attitude. The other extreme would be something like an extreme liberal perspective, where everything is in flux, nothing is objective, anything goes, and everyone's a Pharisee, right? These are two extremes, just from the example of the religious sphere. But for whatever reason, the religious sphere has this tendency to attract and draw in a lot of beta, simps, and spurgs. And I'm not excluding myself from the spurgatism because, again, I used to go crazy debating these things. I was an intense trad cat, and I had to undergo things to heal and grow beyond those phases myself. And so today's stream, again, is about overcoming and progressing, hopefully, becoming better men, not becoming worse people. Virtue ethics, as we get from Aristotle and I think from our tradition, is the idea that being a virtuous man means that you've cultivated the virtues. And cultivating the virtues isn't something that you can do in a one-night St. Paul on the road to Damascus conversion, right? That's also very rare, right? It's just like people getting into crypto. They think, I'm going to be the guy who buys the whatever meme coin and I'll make $1 million overnight. No. Okay, that's like lottery stuff. Okay, so not thinking of ourselves in some delusion way, right? This delusional idea that we are the Neo, we're the one true, super convert who's now I'm in the position to fix the world and fix the church and all this stuff. It's way off. It's all wrong-headed. You got to flip it around. So, how do we identify these traits, these characteristics, hone in on those, and heal that by the cultivation of virtue, and then figure out the ways to live a good life? That's really what philosophy is about, right? Go back to Socrates. What does it mean to live a good life? And he says, well, the examined life is not worth living. And we get various answers from various philosophers. And the point I'm trying to make, though, is that a lot of people expect or they assume that virtue isn't something that takes work, or that knowing a field or knowing a topic or speaking fluently and confidently on a subject, that it doesn't take work and effort and many years. Everybody wants weird shortcuts, whether it's spirituality, whether it's made up religious titles, whether it's appearing to have knowledge of philosophy and academics, and you're so sophisticated and everybody on the internet should look to you. A lot of times people are, they front in. Okay, they don't actually have what they present themselves as having. And we can all fall into that because it's a temptation of pride and vanity to want to present yourself as what you're not. For example, I've seen over the years a lot of people in the religious sphere who they get into theology and then they want to give the appearance that they know Greek and they know Hebrew, they know Latin, and they've read all of these ancient texts, and they haven't. They've Control-F searched texts. They don't speak Greek, but they give the impression by putting up the Greek and the English and the Latin that they know all of these languages, and they don't. That's just a form of con artistry. It's fraudulent. So we should always be honest about our limitations, but not false humility in where we are fluent and where we are well trained. So when it comes to something like debate, I think I'm a decent, skilled debater. When it comes to topics like epistemology or metaphysics or worldview warfare, I'm pretty confident in those areas. But you notice when the guy called in the other night and he wanted to debate biology, I said, I don't know biology. It's not my field. I'm not well studied in that. And so I was presented but with an opportunity to where I could have not admitted that. I could have gone on and pretended like I was knowledgeable in these topics, but it would have been fraudulent. And you'll notice as you guys in the audience, I'm sure you've seen many people call in, and many of them have no knowledge of any of the fields that they want to debate. And if you have knowledge of various fields, you can pretty quickly spot when somebody doesn't know what they're talking about. Even if they've learned some jargon and they repeat it, you can tell they don't really know these topics. They haven't put years into it. They haven't put the time into the books. So that becomes an appropriate situation to call out this sort of performative exercise where they want to give the impression that they know these things, which is kind of odd because a lot of the times these are, sort of anonymous profiles, people with no identity that could be picked out. They're, anime PFPs or whatever. So I don't really understand what they gain from fronting, right? Unless it's just to maybe try to get the Twitter following, who knows? But I think as you get older, you realize that this isn't in any way beneficial. It doesn't benefit me as an individual to front in that way. It's not beneficial for my time. And this is something we're going to talk about later, because a lot of people, when you're young, you waste time like a madman. And you don't realize that until you get into your late 30s. You start realizing, man, I wasted so much time doing things that provided absolutely no value. For example, all of the time that these people are spending on Twitter, if you were really pious, you wouldn't be on Twitter. You would be in your prayer corner, and you wouldn't be telling people that you're in your prayer corner, because that's what Jesus says, to not parade it. Yet we have people who feel the need, this bizarre performative act, to put everything online. And people then end up looking for an example of like a hard, fast rule. And there's no hard, fast rule about what you can put up and what you can say here or there. It's about propriety, which is something that you learn over time through wisdom. So wisdom is something that is gained through lived experience. It's not something that you can memorize like a rote script. And so we're going to apply wisdom today, and this notion of the acquiring of the virtues and virtue ethics, to what we look at today when we look at a lot of these beta men, the phenomena of neoteny, the problems that we see with what happened to my thumb. It was a Pizzagate Podesta thing. That's what I was trying to spirit cook, so I cut my thumb. That's a joke, by the way, for you people who have no sense of hyperbole. That's another thing. People not understanding hyperbole. Beta males, they can't get jokes. They don't get irony. They don't get hyperbole, exaggeration. So, and that goes along with the traits of autism. It's very well known that one of the signs of, not every spectrum of it, but the more extreme cases, autists are sort of robotic. They don't understand nuance. They don't, because it's just, so they sort of they act like a robot, where robots can't detect jokes and satire, right? That's why they have a hard time with memes, because a robot can't detect the deeper layers and senses of memes. And I think, by the way, that more intelligent people find more abstract things funny. That's my view. And so I think that there's a demographic, right, that sees these kinds of things and understands them in a way that others can't. Anyway, that's a whole other topic of the philosophy of comedy. But so what are we talking about with propriety and the cultivation of virtues and virtue ethics here as a key? Well, if we go to Ecclesiastes, we remember that, and I had somebody asking me, they didn't understand the point of this book. The book is written from the vantage point in certain places of somebody who has lived for pleasure. So wine, women, and song, but is that fulfilling? There might be passing pleasures that we get from wine, women, and song, but it doesn't fulfill us. It leaves us with the desire to want more. And the problem for most people then, as we pointed out, is that when they convert or when they start to look at religion, they then think that wine, women, and song are in themselves evil. So they have this extreme Gnostic reaction, an overreaction, which is a type of a dialectical extreme from one extreme to the opposite end. And that's unfortunately just an aspect of human nature where we swing to these extremes, right? Fallen human nature, I'm saying. It's not inherent to humanity that we act that way, but we'll swing over. Actually, Frankie D, I want to comment on this. We swing to these extremes. Frankie D has a great point here, which is that he says for $3, I realized after 2 days of being on Twitter, it's designed to piss you off for maximum engagement. I asked where's the orthodox content, but all I get is feminism and leftism. I realized that it's about arguing against those topics. Now, you got to understand, and I've been saying this for a long time, most of the social media sites have interjected, without your consent, the For You section. For you. So when you go to, I don't use Facebook hardly at all, so I don't even know what's on there. But if you go to Instagram, if you go to Twitter, YouTube's For You is actually good. If you go to YouTube, if you go to Instagram or Twitter, you'll notice that there's who you follow and the For You. The For You is intended to agitate you. Yes, absolutely. It intentionally chooses the content that it thinks is the opposite of you to increase the engagement, to get you involved, to get you in a Twitter flame war. Literally, that's what it's there for. So I never read the For You. Not because I think it's going to mind control me. But for one, I have limited time in the day. My time has to be nowadays. It didn't used to be this way. Before I was doing this full time. This is not farting, by the way. This is my chair. See? Because I know now everybody's going to start talking about farts now. I can do it all day long. See what I mean? It's not far. I already know where the chat's going to... Now the chat's going to be talking about farts for the next 20 minutes, but that's okay. Then you can talk about nubs, which I guess is appropriate because a lot of the soy men end up, unfortunately, with micro nubs. Now, getting serious again. The For You is intended to agitate you, to get you all upset. And when you get upset, you will increase that engagement and you don't ever leave the app. So it's just intended to agitate you and keep you on the app. That's it. That's why you have to only do the following. So I never check For You. I only keep it on following. And I don't even read the following. The only time I see the following is if I open up the app and then whatever pops up is what I see. So never do the For You because it's there to agitate you and get you upset. So great comment there, Frankie D. Appreciate that. So back to virtue ethics. This book is written from the vantage point, again, of a powerful man who was very wealthy, who had a lot. I think Solomon had at least a few hundred wives, maybe 1,800. I can't remember who. Maybe Solomon had 2,000, David had 800. I don't remember. But so they had a lot. And what they realized, well, Solomon, I should say, is that he wasn't fulfilled from this. So part of the book is written from the vantage point of a person who lives for pleasure. And he says, vanity, it's vain. It's all vanity. It's essentially worthless. So it's a kind of nihilistic expression, even though the Bible is not nihilistic. But he's saying that if you live for pleasure, you will end up in nihilism. That's the point. And then he goes on to talk about wisdom and living for wisdom, and that even seeking wisdom, which is a good thing, and that's of course what Solomon asked God for, and God gave him that. It ultimately doesn't make you happy, because with much wisdom comes much sorrow. And then he goes on to talk about, I did all these great things. I built an empire. I built groves and temples, houses. I did all these things, labored and toiled. And he says, I realized that the fool and the wise man are both just going to die. So we all meet our end. Then what? Well, then I realized that all that toil just goes on to someone else. And I don't know if my inheritors, right, my children, my legacy, if they're going to even manage it right. They might ruin everything. They might end up dead. I might not have a legacy. So he said, I realized a lot of this is grasping for wind. Now, we might be tempted when we see that to think that, well, then it is all pointless, or God is the answer to this. So I must then embrace some crazy extreme, as if it's necessary for you to then demonstrate how extreme you are to God and to the world in your radical conversion. Not realizing that this is a lifelong process. The acquiring of the virtues is not going to happen in a year or two. You will make strides. You will have periods where you fall back, where you don't make progress. You're going to be tempted with despondency. You're going to be tempted with doubts. You're going to be tempted with something else. There's going to be hard times. So it sort of sets oneself up for fall when the expectation is that when I convert or when I start going in this direction, the expectation will be all of these religious experiences, right? This is what a lot of Roman Catholics and a lot of charismatic evangelicals, I want these experiences. I want to experience and feel God and dreams, and right, like we were laughing at the evangelical praise and worship the other day, right? But the problem is that when you're seeking these experiences, this is a very emotive kind of thing. And it can be very deceptive. Now, God can give us moments and experiences like that, but when we fall in love with, or we fall into the trap of thinking that that's the essence of the religion, is the emotional feeling I get in a worship service, or that's not necessarily God. And that's a very powerful delusion. So what I'm getting at is that rather than jumping to the extremes and being fooled by our own hearts and our own ideas and imaginings and thinking that, oh, that's God, that's prelest. Now, it may not be. You may be genuinely seeking that, but it takes time. That's the key point here, is that when you're young, you want to rush. Everything is a rush. Now, I'm going to do it now, right? And you're not thinking about, this might actually be an endeavor. Let's set aside religion for a moment. Maybe it's a business endeavor. Oh, I'm gonna sell my scooter that I ride around town. Now I got a scooter. I'm going to sell my scooter for $800, and I'm going to put it in poop coin, because poop coin is definitely the best meme coin investment right now. And boom, my buddy, he made like $2,000 the other day on poop coin with a hat. So I'm going to buy poop coin with my scooter money. All right, foolish. It's a foolish idea. And why is it a foolish idea? Because like everything in crypto is bad? No, not necessarily, right? We're definitely pro Bitcoin. But it's a foolish idea because you are thinking about a overnight get rich quick thing. A business endeavor, some endeavor of real, a real feat, is going to take a lot of time. And anybody that tells you that everything can be had or something can be had through some like shortcut or something, that's like a scammer. That's a finance bro, side hustle scammer bro, right? And, hopefully you would have the discernment to figure that out, but I guess a lot of people don't. Let me give you an example. Back when I was in my 20s, I remember having thoughts like, hey, it might be nice to write a book one day. But I didn't believe that I could actually do a book. It just wasn't within what I thought was a thing that I could do, that I had the potentiality to actualize it. It just seemed far off and just not graspable. So I had to first get the idea that actually, this is kind of possible. I could do that. I don't know that I ever will. No one was asking me, hey, we want you to write a book. No publisher reached out. But the thought started occurring to me as I wrote things that, well, hey, I could put this together in a book, right? And I know that people don't care about books anymore. They don't read that much. But still, it was a big turning point in my life where I realized I could probably do things on my own without thinking about the legacy system of legacy education and legacy media and all this kind of stuff, right? And being a professor at some university where I'm hated because I'm a straight white male or whatever, right? So I started thinking maybe it is possible. And it didn't immediately that dream, that idea was not realized, right? It was something that I still had to write for about 8-10 years before I felt like, okay, maybe this could actually be some kind of book. And it wasn't just writing a blog for 8 or 10 years. I was also writing a lot of college papers. And although I think that I'm a decent writer, I don't think I'm some amazing, excellent writer. People like the books. They think the books are good. I think they're okay. But I don't think they're awesome or amazingly written books. The second Hollywood book is better written than the first book. But even with a lot of work and effort that went into writing a lot, especially in grad school, because you write a lot more in grad school even than you do in undergrad, all of that was essentially kind of training equivalent to what people who do martial arts do, right? Could you go into a boxing match or do martial arts or whatever without the training? Everybody's seen those videos, I'm sure, of the idiots who walk into the MMA gym and think that they're ready to like challenge the guy that's been training everybody for 10 years, right? Because they're idiots. And then they get their ass beat. And everybody knows it, everybody likes it, because it's a kind of a humbling thing. Everybody likes to see people be humbled and have that false pride and arrogance knocked out of them. And it's satisfying because we know that it's a lie. And the same type of thing happens in debates. People think, and I get asked a lot, hey, I wanted to debate as good as you. What do I do to debate as good as you? And it's like they think, oh, there's this course that you take, right? Like a Tai Lopez debate course or something like that. There's not a course that's going to teach you how to demolish an atheist or a Muslim in a debate. I started debating when I was about 18 or 19 all the time on the campus. I would just go around the campus and I started debating people. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm saying that the way that I got pretty good at debate was starting by studying really good debaters. I listened to the Bonson-Stein debate probably 10 times when I was 19. And so I noticed everything that Bonson did. I paid attention to every move that he made. And I realized that even listening to it the first and second and third time, there were things that I would miss, right? Because I was an undergraduate. I was a freshman, sophomore. A lot of things I didn't understand. A lot of moves he made based on years and years of study, because he was, I think, a double PhD. And so I just tried to learn. And then I realized that, well, to be really effective, I guess, I would need to know a lot more about philosophy. And so that got me interested in full-on courses in philosophy and so forth. So, point being is that this is just the analogy that I'm making to anything from the world that I know, right? So, that took a lot of time. There weren't any shortcuts. There's no course. There's no one book that will teach you to debate, because it's not a thing that is based around knowing a bunch of tricks and hacks. It's like everybody thinks that there's a life hack for every discipline or everything, and there's just not. Like, it takes a lot of time being in and doing that. Now, a lot of people might think, too, well, are you obsessed with debate? I don't really like it. I mean, it kind of gets old. It's not that entertaining. It's not that riveting. I don't remember the last time I had a debate engagement where it was that enjoyable. I mean, like the Jake debate was fun in the sense of it being kind of funny, and I saw it as more of an entertaining thing. But to me, it wasn't like, oh, I'm really getting my positions challenged here. I probably haven't had a debate where the positions felt significantly challenged in a really long time. And that's not me being arrogant. I'm just saying, like, that's been my experience. But to be really good at something, it just simply takes a lot of time and work. It's like what Father Moses talks about with powerlifting. I don't know anything about powerlifting. We do go to the gym, and we want to remind you that you can head on over to chalk.com and use the promo code J50 to get 50% off. But, I mean, he talks about that being a really long, arduous endeavor. So, I know everybody probably thinks when you hear me saying this, well, isn't this obvious? We all know that you have to work really hard. You can't just get the shortcuts. But, like, the attitude of the people oftentimes who ask me, like, what's the secret to getting really good at debate? There's not a secret. like Oprah's secret, or Paul Kalo's The Secret. Like, if you read this stupid book, you can manifest your reality and into being a good debater. Which maybe there is. This is true though, because apparently my Randy Balls sketch has now manifested, as we're going to see here in a minute. But I wanted to just talk about this basic principle of propriety. People have lost all sense of propriety, manners, and so forth, because everything has its time. So rather than thinking of things in these extremes, I was extremely into, let's say I was extremely into video games. And now I'm interested in Christianity, and I realize that video games are evil, and I must now go on a crusade to end video games on the internet. Not going to happen. You're not going to end video games. If video games were an idol for you, then maybe you need to abstain from that for a time period so that it's no longer your idol. And then in the future, you can come back to it when you have self-control and it doesn't rule your life. It's not your idol. That's why Solomon says everything has its appropriate time and purpose. And every spurg fails to understand this because everyone is thinking in these extremes. Can I ever listen to secular music? Well, everything has a time and a purpose. For example, if you're at a wedding, there's a party going on, people are having fun, celebrating. That's not the appropriate time to try to start preaching to people about secular music. You're just being an annoying dweeb. It's not the appropriate time for, trying to convince people not to drink alcohol if you're some kind of goofy Baptist or something. It's just not appropriate. So everything has a time. It has a season. There's an appropriate time or season to do that. For example, you don't go into, let's say there's a professor and he's having a class. Would you bust into his class to debate the professor on his atheism? That would be inappropriate. It would be in poor taste. So not everything is a question of, is it evil or is it good? There are many things that are not either evil or good, but perhaps inappropriate or perhaps appropriate. There's a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck, time to kill, time to heal. Notice that, a time to kill. Right? We're talking straight up Matthew McConaughey here. And we got a lot of soy people who would be like, there's never a time to kill. Who do you think inspired Ecclesiastes? Jesus. Isn't that what you're supposed to believe if you believe in Orthodox Christianity? By the way, there's the chat. You can support the chat right there. So there is an appropriate time to kill. For example, if I'm defending my family, that's an appropriate time to kill. There's a time to weep and a time to laugh. If I'm going to confession and it's before, the liturgy or whatever, or Saturday night or whenever, is that an appropriate time to bust jokes and be cracking up? No. Is it an appropriate time at a comedy club to start crying and have a big spurg out or something like that? No, it would be inappropriate. It would make no sense. It'd be bizarre. And not bizarre in any cool or good way. Because sometimes comedy obviously deals with what's inappropriate, something happening that is unexpected and whatnot. But that's different than what we're talking about here. A time to be generous and a time to gather, casting away stones, gathering stones, right? A time to mourn and a time to celebrate. There's a time for Tusamis and a time for Twisters. And there's a Twister Part 2 coming out, which looks ridiculous. There's a time to live on Earth and a time to go to the mega planet. Should I create one? What do you think? Anyway. So, hopefully we understand then this basic principle of propriety, that there's times when things are appropriate and times when they're not. And if we understand that, that's when we begin to have wisdom, which no one has. We live in this era when there's like human computer spurgs who can memorize gigantic data sets and spit them out like Spock or Data or something from Star Trek. But they don't have wisdom to apply what's appropriate at the right time. You see how that's very different? By the way, if you do want to support the stream, you can also support via the Bitcoin wallet QR code there. That's my wallet's QR code. You can support that way as well. If you want a subscription or something like that through this, you'll have to in some way let me know. Because if you say, oh, I want your book, or I want to subscribe and I'll do it with Bitcoin, well, I'm not going to know who that is unless you in some way DM me or indicate that, hey, I was the dude that sent blah, blah, blah. And that way I can do it. Because people have said, hey, I'd like to buy your books or purchase or support via BTC, but, well, there's no way to do that without you telling me who you are. So until I integrate at the site some kind of like, Bitcoin purchase thing, which I think I looked into that a while back, but it didn't look like it was very stable of a thing. So anyway, I'm talking about the integrated app for taking it. I'm not talking about BTC. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got a nice 600 here for this fun day stream as we try to ferret out the betas, the simps, the alphas, the gammas, the Christians, right? And like I said the other night, I was on that stream with Sam and Nick, and I forgot that their bully stream was actually making the point that our buddy Isaac makes, right? Where Isaac says, hey, the nerds are going to kill us all. We've been sort of making this joke too for a long time that bullies serve a filtering service for the rest of society to make sure that people like Gil Bates don't become Bond villains and ruin us all. And unfortunately, we have not appreciated the bullies. The bullies, we turned on them. Bullying became this thing. And by the way, there are psycho harassing bully people. So I'm not talking about crazy people. I'm talking about the normal high school bully that walks by the nerd and pushes them into the locker or something. Okay. Am I advocating that you should? No, but what I'm saying is that bullies served a purpose in high school to prepare us for the challenges of real life. And once high schools became more and more like giant panopticon dystopian prisons by design, that got more and more shut down to where it produced these sort of pseudo-socialist beta soy men. So the education system plays a key role in this. The other thing that nobody talks about when it comes to the alpha, beta, gamma, simp stuff is that there is an intentional top-down application of this. So if you are a person who has these traits, if you're a soy man, if you get really emotional, you're raised by a single mom, you're a fat dude, you got man boobs, you've got all these issues, you are addicted to video games, whatever, addictions, other addictions. First of all, it's not necessarily immediately totally your fault. You were born into a system where a lot of this was socially engineered on purpose. And I think that in the midst of all this red pill stuff and the flaming that goes on, everybody going crazy and getting wild, and everybody going off on these skanky chicks, and the skanky chicks getting mad or whatever, the whole society that everyone is born into is a giant arranged dystopian nightmare. So it's not immediately everybody's fault. However, just because it's not your fault does not mean that you get some sort of pass card by which you can then forever say that you're part of a victim class, okay? Because we're all sick of the whole victim ideology and everybody playing victim. And the dudes who are always bitching about the women end up doing the exact same thing. Now you're a victim and you complain about women all day without altering your life to meet those challenges. And there is no way out of this. There's not. You either we have to face it and adapt accordingly, or there is one out. The only out that any of us has is to choose monastic life. That's it. But that's not for everybody. And any dude thinking that, well, I can choose monastic life and then not have to do the work is strongly deluded. You will have a lot of other work to do. So basically either path, married life and the life with women, or the monastic life, is going to be full of work. There's neither of these paths that will give you the path of least resistance to ease and playing video games all day or eating chicken tendies and chocolate milk or whatever. Like that doesn't exist. Two paths. That's it. So if we're going to do the path of living in this world, which is pretty much most of us, very few of us are going to actually enter monastic life. And monastic life is not what you think, probably. That's why there's always trial periods. There's the novice, who then moves on to whether they want to do something else. So just remember that in all of this stuff, there's appropriate phases and times. Catechumenate. If you're a catechumen, it's not appropriate to do a bunch of things that a lot of catechumens want to do out of zeal. So the zeal is good, but you still got to have propriety, understand what's appropriate for that setting, that station. And I think the big thing, as we said in the other live stream, that's a mistake today, is that people don't understand boundaries and what's appropriate and not appropriate. And not everything about boundaries is some formulaic rule worship, because there can be variations, economia, in different cases. And that's a balance, you see. So there's not a eternal rule for all cases. There's also not a flexibility that's so liberal that there's no rules. Okay, there's a balance here. And that's wisdom, is the application of the law to the scenario and not making the scenario a slave to the law. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. And so when these things turn into rule worship, they defeat their whole purpose, and it creates Spurgs and Pharisees and people that lose their mind. Two different extremes. I mean, just think about like the extreme Haredi position, where they like wake up and they think there's some Talmudic tradition on which shoe you tie first, your laces. And this is just crazy. Okay, God is not, you're not getting God points by doing this gigantic list of which shoe you tie first. And if you read Roman Catholic lists of things like this, like the lists of what's appropriate to do on the Lord's Day from the Canon Ripley, it's identical to the stuff that you read in the Talmudic stuff. So this is just insanity. It's just weird. It's like God is then this bean counter that you're paying off by a bunch of like inane, ridiculous things. How is tying your shoe the right side first paying off God? Like Canon Ripley says, if you walk more than, I forget it says some ridiculous amount. Like if you walk over 2 hours or over 2 miles within one day on the Lord's Day, that's a mortal sin because you've worked. I mean, this is just insane. It's rule worship. Now, back to, this isn't even primarily, the other thing too is like a lot of nerds want to talk about a lot of theology, and I was guilty of this too in my 20s, and all of their life is out of whack. Like their life is a giant mess, but they're an internet theology nerd and a master of canon law and what Augustine says, and on the Trinity, book 4, chapter 7, he actually says blah, 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 blah. And this person lives in a basement, doesn't have a job, never had a date, terrified of talking to a girl, argues with their parents all the time, right? I mean, that wasn't me. I didn't have problems with girls, but that is the type of person that we see popping up a lot. And so what I'm getting at is that there's a bunch of like, well, see, that people say I'm mean. What you think is mean is just a person being direct and forthright. That's it. Because people that actually know me, they don't think I'm mean. That spend time with me, that we go out to dinner with. Like after church, we've had, lunch with the bros from church. Nobody thinks, oh, he's mean. Oh, he's mean. I mean, that's just a weird, bizarre thing of not understanding, again, boundaries and propriety. It's like Cotel was talking about in his stream. He talked about boundaries. Boundaries are necessary, and men like to have and defend boundaries. You defend the border of your nation state, your area. You have a boundary where you live, where you don't want random dudes just popping up in your house. Right? That's a boundary that you set. The not coming to the Eucharist when you haven't properly confessed is another boundary. Having holy objects in the church versus things outside the church that are not holy. And I don't mean things that are therefore evil. I'm just saying they're not religiously holy objects. The parking lot isn't holy. Okay, the altar is. That doesn't make the parking lot evil. But because Protestantism doesn't have the holy and the profane boundary, you can understand why they see no problem in bringing strippers into the church, in bringing monster truck rallies into the church. I'm not joking. I couldn't believe this, although I can. So the skit that I made, that I'm sure many of you have seen years ago, I made it in 2018, the silly skit. We're going to play the skit first, because this blew me away. I can't believe this actually exists in reality when I thought I was being like extremely satirical. Okay. But it's almost like the craziest satire that you think up. Nowadays, it's like the norm. So can we even do satire? I don't know. So we're going to watch this skit. We're going to see if it holds up. This is my 2018 Pastor Randy Balls. His church, it's a mega church, which is bigger than a mega church. It's like a mega church. Okay. And then I'm going to show you that this is now real. There's an actual Pastor Randy Balls thing that the evangelicals have done. And we're going to talk about how crazy this is, because you'll notice that you can tell the impetus for the evangelical men's conference that we're going to look at here. It's all of the external trappings that aren't actual masculinity. That's the weird thing. And so you're starting to notice that, and this is going to be the same with the Spurgs who then try to mimic masculinity. It's all externals, or they think it's a formula. This is another problem with the dudes who, when young guys say, okay, well, I'm going to learn how to talk to women. I'm going to learn to be a player. And they think that it's like the people asking me, what's the secret to becoming a debater? And I'm like, oh, join my course over here of like 5 hours to become the greatest debater in America. Like, there is no course. I'm not saying you can't take philosophy courses. I'm saying there's no like shortcut course to becoming a debater. There's no shortcut to learning what it is to be a virtuous, successful man. That's what I'm saying. But notice what is considered masculinity by these evangelical goobers is all a bunch of weird external stuff that isn't necessarily masculine. For one, every one of these things a Skittles dude could be into. Weightlifting can be a great thing for dudes. Definitely pro gym. But there's a lot of weightlifting weirdo that are Skittles. And they love the masculine physique. So that can get into weirdness. Okay, monster truck rallies, I don't get that. But I guess it's adjacent to masculinity. That's not masculinity. IPAs, I'm so sick of the dudes that are all into IPAs and their fucking beers. Your beers are not masculine. By the way, they're giving you man boobs. And it doesn't mean you can't drink. I'm just saying that all of this stuff is not masculinity. You see what I'm saying? These are externals. And so everybody's thinking that masculinity equates to a bunch of like garb or something. So all of these things can be masculine. Having a nice car. A lot of dudes like the idea of having a nice car. That's kind of a, automobiles, engine. That's a masculine thing. I have a nice car. I'm thankful for that. But like, is masculinity really proven by a truck or not really? So you see, these are adjacent. These are externals. And the first thing that a young guy or a guy who wants to better his life, the first mistake he'll do, especially the Spurgy types, is that they'll treat all of this like a formula and some giant list. And if I go down the list of all the things that are masculine, that will make me masculine because I'm going to project to everybody that I'm masculine because I don't know, bought poop coin with my scooter money, and I just got my gym membership. And, oh, by the way, I'm going to train MMA, but I'm going to tell everybody online every time they ask me, I have MMA practice tonight. Oh, by the way, hope you guys are, what's up, dude? By the way, I have MMA practice tonight. I'm going to talk MMA tonight. They just talk about their MMA lessons all the time. I remember there was a prominent YouTuber person who I was having a conversation with about a discussion we were going to have. And he made sure to interject multiple times that he was training in MMA. And he also, by the way, he had MMA practice. And then like 3 lines later, oh, but also, by the way, did I mention I have, yeah, you have an MMA practice. Okay, yeah, no. I got it, dude. Anyway. I just thought that was funny. Like I would be impressed because he multiple times like stressed that he had practice. Whoa, dude. I think that's another point here that needs to be stressed, though, because another big mistake is that a lot of people think that all of these things that we're talking about, what it is to be a man or what it is to be a Christian or what it is to be this or that it's all this sort of display. And I guess the internet has really helped with that. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of our lives and our thoughts and our tastes are reflected into this mirror world of the internet, this has sort of inadvertently or maybe intentionally created the impression that all of these things are just sort of costumes that you put on. And it makes sense, too, because a lot of the TRA and Z stuff aligns with that as well, right? I don't actually possess the mechanics of a girl, but I can put on the costume and say that I'm that, and it becomes that. I am that. So there's something going on with some sort of dissociation via the internet and living our lives on the internet, whereby we are thinking that the externals create that reality somehow. Okay, by the way, when I say that I manifested this, that's a joke. I didn't literally manifest Randy Balls's men's conference, but it came about. I think that satire and whatnot, the extremes that you do when you do skits or impressions or satire, I mean, it's just talking about the absurdities to where this could go, right? Like the Pope of the Future skit. That was intended to express the absurdities of where the Roman Catholic Church would go by 2040 or whatever. And it seems to bear out that prophetic element, right? I'm not literally saying I'm a prophet. I'm making a joke. Likewise, I mean, the absurdities of the mega business church have no end. They can go into just insanity because it already has. It's already gone to insanity levels. So check this out. This blew me away. First of all, we'll watch my skit, which is not very long, and then we'll watch the manifestation of this into reality. And by the way, if you want to support the stream, you can do so via the super chat function. Super chats are done over here via Streamlabs. Streamlabs is right here in the chat. All you got to do is click over there really quick, and you can pop in with whatever donation you'd like to give, or ask me a question, and I will answer your question. So first, let's understand my 2018 skit. This was uploaded 2023, but I made this in 2018, if somebody doubts me.
Boring Baptist church? Are you not getting spiritually fed where you are? Then come on down to Circus of Power Mega Church. Mega Church. Hey y'all, this is Pastor Randy Biles. It's my honor to invite y'all to church. Don't y'all get it? Don't y'all get it? Church! It's called church! There's a DJ! Get it? There's all kinds. Hey y'all, this is Pastor Randy Biles. It's a windy time out here at Arcadia Church. This here's my church. I'm Pastor Randy Biles. Woo! Check out that building. It's our arcade. Don't worry about what you're wearing, because I do every service in clubs. Hey, it's gonna be fun. We got church. At Circus of Power, we got our own in-house version of Pixar. We got a version of everything out there in the world for you and your family. Look at these guys. They're so cool in my book. What do you think? Not into that kid stuff? Don't worry. We got a whole ministry just for teens, especially teens dealing with addiction. I call it Teen Steam. If you're dealing with spandex, bagger short addictions, don't worry. We got a whole dance troupe to help you out. Not only that, our church is the only one in the Tri-County area with a blockbuster attached to the sanctuary. Let's go rent a flick, babe. Not enough ministry for you? We've also got a ministry to hobos. Not just hobos, but we use mimes and dogs to counsel gangs. All together, we recruit the hobos to help counsel the gang members. Church! Not only do we teach families skills like access and dark web, but also old people how to distinguish between a mouse and a mouse. Church! We're also the only church in the Tri-County area with a theme park based around Michael Jackson's Never Neverland. Don't be like a typical service. Why just exit the church into the pool? We've got a water slide that takes you directly from the sanctuary to the filth pool out back. I'm not even done. We also have a puppet ministry that raps. You like them cool beats? I know I do. On top of that, we got a flying Howie Mandel, as well as a bunch of goop. Look at all that goop, man. Ain't it crazy? Every sermon is a monster truck rally. And not only that, I'll preach every sermon inside of Soul Crusher. Soul Crusher. We also have our own Christian movie production company with the latest titles streaming right to you. Church! Come on down right now to Circus of Power Mega Church, and not only do you get all these bonuses, you can...
I can't remember if that's an actual like a Korean mega church, or if I just found a picture of like a Korean prime minister just talking to a giant audience. But I thought it was good because it makes no sense that there's this like an Asian pastor there. So I think maybe like Pastor Randy Balls has a sister mega church in Korea or something. And isn't there some giant Korean mega church? I think that's what I was thinking when I made this. But a lot of people have been requesting an update to find out what Pastor Randy Balls has been up to. I might make a Pastor Randy Balls Part 2 sketch because we all want to know what he's been up to. But unfortunately, it looks like what he's been up to is the real men's conference here, which I kind of couldn't believe was real. So this is, check this out. James River Church. No idea who this is. Men's thing. Man's. This a man's thing. It's a men's. Do you like men's? Let's see. We got a super chat from Back in My Right Mind 88. Thanks for all that you do, Jay. Your Orthodox grandmother is learning new things each week. All right. So that 1% female audience that we have over here is a couple Orthodox grandmothers. Shout out to our grandmothers. We love those grandmothers. By the way, hit like and share. We're going to get back into betas, bullies, simps, gammas, all of that. But again, 2018 Pastor Randy Ball's skit has now become a reality. Do y'all understand what is going on? Where are we? Watch this. I couldn't believe it.
Welcome to the Stronger Men's Conference. When you're in the presence of the Lord, powerful things happen. God, whatever you have for me, I want to hear.
Who is this? I thought that for a second there was like, did Larry David convert and become an evangelical pastor? I was like, that's a cross between John Piper and Larry David. Who is this? But already I don't like it. That's like that's old evangelical Rollo Tomasi right there. That's just a joke.
Help me to grow because I want to be a stronger man.
That was crazy!
Actual monster truck rally. Actual monster truck. So notice how corny this is too, right? It's all corny. So here's two dudes talking about, so they have a MMA thing or a boxing thing. Here's two funny guys. Look, we're funny. We got wigs and mustaches. It's funny. That would be what you would see. This is every Sunday at Randy Balls' church. This isn't even that interesting. I saw something NFL. Where would NFL Harrison Butker, NFL kicker. Of course, we got to have the pro sports guy who goes into evangelicalism to tell us how awesome it is. And look, sorry guys, but all this evangelical stuff is just a bunch of self-help. That's all it is. Okay, it's not authentic religion. Sorry. I'm not saying that the individuals who go into this aren't sincere. I'm not saying that. But the whole thing itself is inauthentic, is what I'm saying. Okay, so you can be sincere. I know when I was an evangelical as a kid, I was sincere. I didn't have a, right? So the point, people in the chat are confused. This doesn't belong in church. This is nothing to do with church. Church, right? Balls to the walls, worship. Exactly. So look, that's two skits. That's two skits that were prophetic, dude. Pope of the Future, Randy Balls. Y'all better be scared because the next skit I make, I mean, it's end of the world, dude. My skits are manifesting the freaking apocalypse. Anyway, let's get back to this nonsense. What does the NFL have to do with it? Nothing? Nothing to do with worship, theology, religion. Look, and by the way, what we've seen so far is all external masculinity stuff. Again, you should be figuring out how to get into boxing. You should be figuring out how to get into MMA. Not sitting here watching other dudes do this stuff as a spectator. Oh, funny guys. Wow. Right? And these guys look like soy men. They don't look like masculine dudes. flamethrowers, explosions, smoke machines. It's pitiful, dude.
What God did in your life.
What the heck is that? That looks like a dang. Is that is that from Halo? Something from Halo? They got freaking Halo dudes dressed up in Halo outfits. Halo outfits. Jamie's in there cracking up, dying laughing. At this stupid men's conference, dude, even Randy Balls couldn't think of that. Halo? That's like a halo. We got a Christian interpretation of Halo. Look, it's a halo. You notice how there must be a little bit of the clown, one of the clowns from Simpsons. I just realized that unintentionally Randy Balls has a little bit of like a itchy and scratch, or not itchy and scratch. I went blank on the clown, the Simpsons clown. Why is there a Halo dude? I mean, okay, Halo does talk about the heretics of the Halo universe, so maybe this is helping us to identify the evangelicals as the heretics in that universe.
What God did in your life, it's meant to impact.
What's that dude doing with peanuts? I love these evangelicals with their object lessons. Like, remember that black dude that was pouring syrup on the Bible everywhere? Pastor Todd Terry. He gonna pour syrup on the Bible, it don't even matter. Remember that 2 nights ago? We were doing that. Now we got this chunky ass dude pouring peanuts in a bowl. Peanuts!
It's meant to impact the world around you. It's meant to be multiplied. That's the plan of God for you.
We can change and impact the world because we serve the strong man.
Who is that? Trying to figure out who he looks like. Who's that dude look like? It's like a young Andy Dick, maybe? I don't know. Who's he look like?
Jesus Christ, he says I will go with you. Behold, I'm with you.
That was a fat Kevin Hart. Look at that. Fat Kevin Hart. What's fat Kevin Hart doing there? That is fat Kevin Hart. We got young Andy Dick, fat Kevin Hart. Let's see. We got Theo Vaughn. Who's that? Fedor Emelianenko. There's Soul Crusher. Soul Crusher. Who else is there? Let's try. I'm trying to see who these people look like. I can't find the people. We got Theo Vaughn. Who's that fat dude with the peanuts? Who's he look like? Look at this soy man up here in his beard with his beard. There's Steve Pekoinen from the Sunday Wake Up Show right there on the left. Can't tell who that is in the middle. He got a Tupac shirt on.
It's meant to impact.
No, don't torture me again with this. Whoa, dude! Look at that! Look at that dude right there with the gut right there. That's a man right there. That's a man and a half. So again, this brings me back to how much I hate IPA bros. And look, I did a test with this too. These stupid ass beer obsessed men. If you want to be a better man, I'm gonna tell you right now. One leg up is to stop drinking alcohol. I know everything you're gonna say. But let's just take a look. Let's look at all the dudes that are into IPAs and they're creating their own beers in their basement. I guarantee you, I can convince you to stop. Okay, they look like this dude. That's probably an AI thing. So this is AI smashing together every idiot IPA dude. Here's another one with the stupid shaved hair on the side and their giant beard and their man boobs. Here's another. IPA guys, for whatever reason, they have a costume. They have this dumb beard and they have lumberjack shirts. Okay. You're not a lumberjack. Nobody's thinking that because you have this stupid beer kit in your basement that after 12 IPAs and your man boob nipples are getting hard, that you're going out and chopping wood like Michael Landon or something. Okay, here's another one. Look at this. Another one. Bearded man drinking the most disgusting IPA in the world. Exactly. Even Reddit can figure this one out. Here we go. Look at this. Soy face. IPA man with a soy face. Exactly. Expressing his natural. Another one with that dumbass beard. And that stupid. They got this wavy hair and the big old beard and their giant tit juice. Just call it man tit juice, because that's what it does, is just give all these idiots tatas, gazumbas, some might say. Here's another one.
Oh, I'm a fat dad. Come down to my basement and check out my IPAs. It's masculine. Well, I'm also from Minnesota. I know I like Milwaukee's. I wanted to make the perfect beer like Milwaukee's Beast. Yeah, it's a perfect beer. I'm from Milwaukee. I like to watch football. Would you like to have some teat juice? It leaks beer. I drink so much beer that my man tits squeeze out beer. It's an IPA for my tata.
I can't stand IPA people. Look at another one.
I'm an IPA guy. Beer. Would you like a sampler of 23 flavors?
It's masculine. It's masculine. It'll give you the biggest titties on the block. It's masculine.
Look at this guy. They all look like this. Look at that dude got triple chins. Okay, here's one dude. I bet you this dude didn't even. So they found one Chad dude. I bet you didn't even drink this shit. They were like, here's somebody's leftover IPA. It's so nasty they didn't even finish it. Can we take a picture of you just for our ad? Here's the real IPA dudes.
We got an IPA podcast. Oh, we're fat dudes talking about beer.
Exactly. This whole right here. Look at this.
Are IPAs giving you giant tatas?
Yeah, of course. Duh. Look at that, dudes.
It's masculine. It's masculine. Wouldn't a man have the giantest tits? That's masculine.
Exactly. Look at this brother right here.
It's masculine, dog. Look at my titties popping out of my shirt.
Here's one. No, I thought maybe we found one example. Let's see. I hate this shit so much. It's so stupid. Because you meet a lot of these people, and they're all the same too. Like all these guys act the same. Soy face.
IPA. Could I talk to you for 30 minutes about beer flavors and how I'm an expert? I'm basically like an alchemist. I have a medieval alchemist set up in my basement. I also have an astrolabe. It tells me when to cook. It tells me when to roast the hops at the right temperature according to the astrological charts.
Beer world. Another dude with the same shaved head and beer boob guts. Beer boobs.
Beer boobs.
And all of these kind of guys too, they're like, I'm a breast man, not a butt man. I'm more of a breast man. That's because they got breasts. So an IPA dude, you know he's a boob man because he's got boobs. It's simple logic. Here's one guy without a beard, but he's thinking like, should I actually like these IPAs? What the heck am I even doing? And by the way, beers are crazy expensive. So most people are bitching about money and inflation. Well, why are you spending your money on beer? I remember in my 20s wasting ridiculous amounts of money on beer. Stop wasting your money on beer. Like it's dumb. IPA beer men gathering. Let's see if we can get like a An IPA conference, dude. That sounds like the worst shit. Imagine. Oh, here we go. IPA conference. All right, these guys look a little normal. Although a goatee, come on, dude. It's not 1996. This is an AI creation of that's what an IPA dude in his head sees himself as. I'm like the most Chad lumberjacker of all times. I can basically like have an MMA fight at the top of a tree, like you see in the Return of the Jedi. I'm pretty much, no, but this is what is really going on. He looks like that. That's what he really looks like. Okay, enough ranting about IPA dudes, but come on. Boomer, here we go. Boomer dads with damn NFL outfits and his IPAs, exactly. Here we look at that. What? Am I right or am I right? Okay, so we got one dude that's not. Okay, one dude that's not fat. Two dudes that are not fat. A couple dudes kind of overweight. We got. They look mad though. The one dude that's not overweight looks mad as hell. Doesn't look like he's having a good time. He's rethinking his whole existence with this stupid beer shit. Another one with a stupid beard. Oh, look at these clowns. They're funny. Two of them. All three of the dudes, except for the guy in the middle, they fit exactly what I'm talking about. Especially this dude up here at the top with the handlebar mustache and the damn lumberjack shit. You're not a lumberjack, dude. Nobody's falling for that. You ain't never chopped. You ain't never used a chopstick. Much less this guy. Much less chopped wood. You ain't chopping no wood. Get out of here with that. Anyway, that's my rant on IPA. Did I run off? I ran off 100 IPA bros by that rant right there. We just dropped like 100 people. They're like, screw this dude, man. I'm trying to work on these titties, man. Screw him. I'm trying to get rid of him. Well, stop drinking that stupid ass beer. That's why. That's why you got boobs. Draconian methods. If you have nothing going on, should I be listening to you? Yes. St. Michael, $10. Look into Zootown Church. This has got to be a skit, but it's getting to where we can't tell skits from reality. Zootown Church. It's insane. There's a Protestant pastor who's LARPing. Zootown Church. I don't know if we're not going to have time to hit all these videos. Zootown Church. Let's see if we can pull it up. By the way, check out Cotel's stream. It was good if you missed it. Zootown Church. Is it this? What's weird about this? This looks like a standard evangelical setup here. So what's weird about this? The farm. He gives the blessing of peace.
If a man wears this, he's definitely getting lucky tonight.
Most jeans are either super baggy.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining our zoo.
Was he got gauge earrings? Dude, come on, man. So why would anybody still dress like, the era of affliction gear, right? It's not the era of affliction gear. Okay, you're not afflicted. It's not Ed Hardy time, bro. And them gauge earrings are just, when I see a dude that looks like he works at Hot Topic, or he might have worked at Hot Topic. Oh, he's the pastor. Oh, damn.
So many of you have reached out to us and you have told us that.
I mean, he looks like a kind of a buff dude too. He probably beat my ass, but what I'm saying is that doesn't mean that he's not weird, right? Let's see what's going on over here.
The next step was always bucking bales. Anybody buck bales in here? Anybody?
Bucking
now
bales.
That's fun, isn't it? And I was a little shrimp because
he tripped me out with that necklace there. I thought for a second we had like an Instagram, yoga bro, like an Instagram community, like a communal living yoga man. But he's what's he talking about?
Working with all older people.
He looks like he would be in the band live, right? Like, he looks like it was an evening I shared with the sun to find out where we belong. He could pass for totally being in live, couldn't he? Remember live? Lightning crashes and old mother died. I don't even remember. Remember the live songs? Is that butt rock? They might have been a little too butt rock, right? Lightning crashes. Yeah, remember lightning crashes? Look, see the live dude right there? Look at that. Look at that other dude. Looks like Eminem. Was Eminem in live? Look at that dude right there. That's Eminem. What the heck? Let me make it bigger. Look, see? Look, that's Pastor Scott right there. He was in live with Eminem. Look at that. Lightning crashes. Give me $25 million. We'll build a sanctuary under the sun with a giant latte. Never mind, that didn't work.
It was in the top of the barn where it was 175.
I'm gonna be baptized in a giant latte, yeah. Steaming hot.
Degrees, right?
When are they gonna start baptizing people in a giant latte? Like a steaming hot latte where they're dunking people in there? With it like burning their scalps, burning their skin. Ah! Be like, you'll be baptized in the latte, the holy latte. Because they have coffee shops like in the church. You know that, right?
But it's good work. But I can tell you, I loved my boss. I loved him. He was this rough old farmer, but man, was he fun to work with. And we played.
I feel like I'm at a stand-up event with a guy trying to be relatable and funny, and it's not relatable or funny. You know what I mean? Like this seems like so the mega churches are turning into like stand-up comedy one-man shows or something. I don't know what's going on.
Jokes on him and all kinds of stuff. He acted real hard, but he loved us, and I knew that. But this is straight up. I'd wake up at 4 a.m. and go change pipe, and then I'd go to basketball.
Oh, it's a cross he's wearing. He's wearing like a big, like a Africa Bambaataa cross, right? It looks like a traditional African garb, like Africa Bambaataa. Is that an Orthodox cross? What the heck is that? Zootown? Is he trolling everybody, calling his church the zoo? Zootown? What? Africa Bambaataa Church. Can I preach at Africa Bambaataa Church? It was an evening I shared with a song. He be trying to reinterpret live lyrics. An evening I shared with the Son of God. Right? It's exactly what he would do. So you said he's absolutely insane. Well, he looks like a standard event. He looks tame compared to the men's meeting. That was tame. Daniel, $50. Thank you so much, Daniel. Appreciate that. And then St. Michael says, again, look into Zootown. Tell me if there's something specific I need to look at about Zootown. BMX, $1966, $10. Thank you so much, BMX. Lamont Stigler for $5. IPAs and Funko Pops should merge. I feel like they kind of already are merged, right? I feel like an IPA is basically liquid plastic that is what makes up the Funko Pop. So that's basically the same thing. Thank you guys for those super chats. Appreciate that. So you guys are saying this person is converting? Well, I don't know what to say. Because a lot of times people... The danger, I think, is that people are converting, but then they're going to bring a bunch of this evangelical weirdness. They're going to say, oh, we got to bring evangelicalism into Orthodoxy to save it. But, all right, I'm just going to save you the time I was going to play analyzing bully scenes from Revenge of the Nerds and stuff. And instead, I'm going to tell you to just watch Nick's skit, because it kind of makes this point, right? The... bully skit, because this came up when we were conversing. So If you've never seen the MDE bully skit, everybody should watch this. It's funny, and bullies are funny characters, and it kind of illustrates the point though that like bullies kind of filter out problem people from running society. That's kind of their evolutionary purpose, so to speak. There you go. Now, moving on after we spent way too much time ranting about. Did I even finish their? We didn't finish their thing. I forgot about this. Let's finish this. Come on now.
That's the plan of God for you.
We can change and impact the world. Oh man, Jesus Christ, he says, I will go with you. Behold, I'm with you always. I'm going to give you strength.
Never leave any walker.
Who's that? We got Hotep. Hotep speaking.
Same way as you entered, because you've been through something.
Who's Justin Bieber? Lesbian Justin Bieber right there. Look at that. Definitely lesbian Justin Bieber singing songs up there with a mic.
With Jesus, you've had an encounter.
Who's that dude? Who's that look like? Not Hotep. I can't pause it on that chunk. Him. Who's this? Kevin. Who's that? Paul Blart Mall Cop dude. Kevin. What's his name? Not Kevin Hart. Kevin. That's the mall cop dude.
Encounter with the Most High God. He's changed you and transformed you and renewed you.
Woo! Pastor Randy Balls has made it. He's made it to the top. I gotta play this one because, I mean, this was just such a perfect example. And of course, Cotel played this guy. I'm not gonna play all of this, but so look, this is what we want to avoid. Okay, I've done my critique of IPA boob men, tatas. Let's talk about the essence of what a beta male is. And there is a lot of overlap with social justice warriors. Kevin James, I couldn't think of his name yet. Kevin James over here preaching. That's amazing. That's a beta, that's amazing. That's amazing. Deadly Peter, that's amazing. That's amazing. So we're gonna listen to him talking to this person. And this whole thing is ridiculous. So let's just do it. Thank you guys for those super chats. This is a lot of fun.
Gallagher Ashurst, and Michael is an
All right, now this initial picture here. I mean, I don't know what's going on with these weird bangs, but right here, this dude doesn't look too terrible, right? I mean, this guy has some Chad potentialities here, right? He's not fat. He's a decent looking facial proportioned person. Everything's okay. These weird bangs are a little much here. I don't know what he's doing with these bangs, but just on this initial appearance, not too bad of a dude here, right? But now what we see when we begin this interview is from it progresses to worse.
Personality who is popular on the web for his satirical Facebook videos on social justice issue.
So he's popular for satirical social justice. So it sounds like he's kind of aware of things. But unless Jesse Peterson's getting trolled. Because look, to be a comedian or to do funny things requires a little bit of balls, right? I mean, you got to have a little bit of balls to make fun of stuff. I mean, unless you're actually just one of these horrible comedians that's a social justice warrior comedian that's given these jobs nowadays because of whatever minority status you're claiming, like these, like the TRANZ comedian that you see everywhere, whoever that woman is, I forget her, or whatever she is. I forget, she's got some weird name. You know what I'm talking about? Tig, and her name like Tig or something weird. Like not funny at all, but is all over this entity. Raised by a single mother. Interesting. Are you noticing a pattern here? So unless, right, like, if what I'm saying is that there shouldn't be any beta going on here. If this dude is, where's my freaking Jesse Lee Peterson clip? I've lost it. Did I exit out? What the heck? By the way, guys, I want to remind you to get tickets to our LA event. We will be live with Jamie Kennedy and Isaac Weishaupt for a 6-hour party, a 6-hour infotainment epic event now in Vegas. You've seen us in Orlando, Austin, Nashville, LA twice. Now Vegas, all of the surrounding area of Vegas bros. Come get your tickets. If you're in Arizona, you can make the drive. I promise you. You can do it. There is the link to come to our event. Get those tickets now. June 22nd, Vegas is going to be a blast. And then I lost my dang Jesse Lee Peterson video. Let's see. JLP beta. Let's pull that back up. So anyway,
I have with me.
If he's trolling and doing videos, there should be some Chad stuff going on. That's what I'm trying to get at. Now, is this a joke? Because if he's trolling.
Oh.
Thank you for having me, Jesse. How are you?
All is well, sir. I appreciate you coming on. How did you get started as being so popular as a social justice warrior on the web?
Basically, I would just put my opinions, my thoughts, and what I think is right out there. And for some reason, I would just get hordes of people attacking me and being mean to me, bullying me, harassing.
Is this guy trolling? I want an authentic beta male dude being interviewed. So I feel like this is a joke. Does the audience know? We have like the highest IQ audience on the damn internet. I'll tell you that right now. But Jesse Lee Peterson introduced him as joking, as a dude who clowns around. But this interview is presented as if he's legit. See, this person says, this guy's trolling, dude. Society has destroyed this man. This dude is a Canadian satire guy playing a character. Exactly. Yeah, that ain't no good. That's a character. Do we have another beta that we can Destiny. I mean, Destiny is like the ultimate beta, right?
Bitcoin that lets you control.
I mean, a Destiny, you can't beat Destiny, right, for this. Can you? Is there anybody who is an authentic? I guess Destiny would be the best. So Destiny, as we know, polyamorous, polycule, bisexual, neoliberal, promotes every degenerate thing out there. Let's see how this conversation goes.
Amazing. 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 Wow. Amazing.
Right down the middle.
So are you half man, half woman?
I don't think that's how male or female works.
How does it work?
Not like that.
A man is a male who turned to man. He grew out of malehood and became a man. And he is a man that loves God with all his heart, soul, and might, along with nothing else. He treats all people the same because he has no anger. He loves what's right. He leads people in the right way to go. President Trump, and I'm sure you would agree. Would you agree that President Trump is a real man?
I'm not sure what you mean by man. I heard you describe a bunch of things that have nothing.
So that was Destiny's clipped video, and I mean, come on, let's be honest here. But Jesse Lee Peterson is funny, but he's also goofy, right? I mean, like half of what he says, he can't even pronounce it. So, and he's some kind of weird anti-Trinitarian. I mean, again, he's funny, but like, come on. Is there no clip of them talking, like an actual conversation? Anyway, maybe that won't work. Yeah, I don't guess that's going to work. All right, look. Let's get past that. Let's talk about the character of, let's see, maybe there's some male feminists. Can we find a male feminist? I want a male, I don't want satire, I want real male feminists here. Let's see what this guy says. Now he looks a little sweet, a little sweet in his loafers. And let's see if he can instruct us.
Reason number 1, men are horn dogs. Men will see anything with butterflies and rainbows and instantly... Is that a butterfly? It's a butterfly.
Is this supposed to be funny? So he's a male feminist because men are horn dogs? I don't get it. And by the way, women are horn dogs too, so...
Number 2, I came out of a woman, so why would I support a man over a woman? Make it make sense.
Is this what people think is funny? This probably has a zillion views.
The future is female. Women's rights. Let's go. Will you sleep with me? The 19th Amendment is so important.
Yeah, well, that's true. This is parodying this. I want legit. This guy looks like he's serious.
To all the men who think women shouldn't have rights. Seriously trying to control my anger right now. And to all the men who think they're single because all the women around them treated them bad. Yeah, how's that working out for you? Seriously, guys, we got some learning to do. Being a feminist isn't just about looking at the men around us. It's about looking right here. To all the men who think women shouldn't have rights.
I can't tell if this dude's joking either, because the dumb women in the chat are like, "Thank you for standing up for us. Pick me, choose me." All right, now we got to see if this dude's a jokester. Is he a clowning jokester? Is he a funny man? Or is he legit? I can see this going either way, because this dude's definitely coming off as cringy.
I went outdoors and basically...
let's see, he's singing about flowers. What the heck is this? I mean, I guess TikTok really is... There should be a place in the apocalypse where TikTok is mentioned as one of the signs of the end. You know what I mean? Because this is just...
All the men who think...
I'm going to vote that that guy is legit, even though he thinks it's funny. It's not. Let's see. When being a male feminist who treats a woman like a queen becomes illegal. Let's see. We got a pretty boy over here. That's a pretty boy. Let's see what he says.
Get down! Sir, get down! Get down! Sir, get down!
So the police state is going to arrest you when it's illegal to treat a woman like a queen, which is what a male feminist does. He's the people's princess? Is this a joke? I gotta see this. The mind of the people who are like age 17 to 20 is like a schizophrenic cartoon on perpetual replay. I think that's what's going on. This is his most popular video. Let's see what it is. No sound. I don't get it. You got to get Connor pilled. Bro, I'm trying to get Connor pilled, but I don't understand what's going on.
I'm sure you guys have been wondering where I've been.
I have, yes.
The answer to that is just I've been on some real low-key shit, just like making moves in silence, like stacking paper. You know, the usual.
I think he's trying to be funny. So, but it wasn't very funny. Where I want to see the real male feminists. Stand up for your sisters. Dating a woke feminist male. She's complaining. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This guy is ready to diss the dudes that catcall. Alpha.
I never hit my wife, even when I'm drunk. If a lady's got moxie, I believe she can even become a medical doctor. I allow my daughter to make eye contact with boys and men. My wife wasn't even a...
This shit is not funny. I don't understand why people think this is funny.
Hit my wife.
That's not the video that comes up. When I click this dude's video, it doesn't come up. Look at this dude. This dude looks like a science experiment. He looks like he came out of a beaker, dude. What the heck is going on? I think Cotel had the same problem too. He couldn't find real male feminists. I want to see the real thing. So basically everybody's just making fun of it, which is a good sign that we can't see the real ones. Decentralize men. Decolonize. Inclusivity, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Palestinian, midget, lesbian, Muslim, attack dogs. That's what life is about. My new woke meter, when I'm gonna start analyzing movies to see how woke they are. For example, we just watched Civil War. How woke was it? It gets a 6 on the woke meter. That means 6 midget, lesbian, vampire Muslims. So that's, if you get 6 of those, that's pretty woke. So Civil War gets 6 midget, lesbian, Muslim vampires. Gen Z is rejecting feminism. So we see the Chads are invading here. The Chads are invading and making fun of the male feminists. So this is a good sign. It's a good sign. We can't even find people that really want to defend this position, can we? It's such a ridiculous position. And all the women are complaining about having dated a male feminist because they're like, this is fake, dude. Let's see. Can we get anybody?
The feminism movement has done nothing but beat down men. If a large group of men got together and made up some bullshit called meninism, the woman would say how f***ed up that is and that it's not right. But they're hypocritical because that's exactly what the f*** they're doing.
She's just trying to get clicks. The roots of feminism.
Is
Let's
feminism
see.
still relevant in society today?
Feminism was kind of built, the movement itself was built in racism. White women were upset at the fact that black men got the privilege to vote before they did, and that's kind of what spearheaded the feminism movement. Statistically and historically, who have been left out of that movement, I mean, it's very much white women focused. So women of color have kind of been left out of the conversation. I don't want to sit here.
Yeah, there we go. Speaking truth to power right there. feminism came about because of racist white women. Exactly, dude. Exactly. That's what I've been saying.
If men can't control themselves, seeing women in skirts, who let them control whole countries?
We've seen her cringe before, so I apologize for subjecting you to her again. But let's see what this chick says about dating a feminine gay guy.
As a feminine gay man.
Oh, excuse me. That's not a chick. Oops. Yikes. How is it not obvious to everybody, too, that this is all just subversion, right? Inverting everything. Let's see. What happens if we type in beta male? What do we get? Or a simp? Let's see. She says...
Just tell me what you want. I'll do that for you.
When will guys understand that being a simp is the most attractive thing?
You're dumb.
I could be that. I could be whatever you want. You just tell me what you want and I'll be that for you.
You're dumb.
I could be that.
I can't tell. I mean, I don't know what anything on this app is. None of it makes any sense to me. So, let's see. Simps. People are spitting, puking. I mean, I don't think there's anything on this app that's even just coherent. Let's see. Somebody show me something that I can even understand. I think this is really just, this is a schizophrenia producer. That is what this is. This whole thing is to induce and create schizophrenia. Like, that makes the most sense. Because what even is this stuff? And also, Cotel was talking about how many views. And like, this has 1 million views, 3 million views. I guarantee a lot of these views are fake, inflated. Just mindless gibberish, like just it's like everything is postmodern on this app, right? Nothing makes any sense. There's no coherence. Anyway, that has really nothing to do with what we're going to talk about today, but so let's give here's a good example. So Penguins did a video. And this is the extreme that I'm talking about, where a dude wants to be not beta anymore. So he thinks that if he follows some kind of weird formula and becomes a player coach, like coaching you how to be a player, he's gonna be Will Smith, right, in Hitch, but the creepier version. Did y'all see this? This was funny. Because this is an example of going to the extreme and not understanding that this is not a formula, okay? Learning how to interact with people and be normal and be cordial and to have some riz, some pizzazz, some mojo, some finesse, okay? It is not done in this way. So check out this dude. I'm going to link this video too because him making fun of this guy was pretty funny. But this is a dude who you can tell was super beta and decided he was going to make a change. But look, you can make a change for the worse. And it does not mean that if you change that you follow a formula and that this is going to work and people are not going to be able to see through your nonsense. I mean, so check this out.
Absolutely the best. And she's like, oh, how? I'm like, well, you'd have to come over in my house to find out. And you'd also have to be okay with kink, and you'd also have to be okay with my mastery of the ropes and the fact I have multiple women. And actually, maybe not. Maybe.
This dude actually has over 5,000 likes on this, supposedly, if the TikTok likes are true, right? And his shtick is that he's going to teach you to be a player and how to get chicks, but first of all, look at his weird underbutt. So first of all, he's got a really weird, and a lot of these guys have kind of a weird thing going on. So he should work on his underbite, first of all, just because it's weird. I'm not saying that he And he's balding. Okay, so balding and underbite. Nobody believes that this dude is actually pulling in tons of chicks. But the first thing is that he mentions really weird stuff that makes absolutely no sense in a first interaction. So he's like, yeah, we can hang out. And by the way, I know you rejected me, but we can still get together. So he's pushing where obviously the chick is not interested. You don't have to accept her rejection. So this is out of the territory of normal interactions between guys and girls and feeling out the social cues. Okay, spurgs and weirdos have no sense of social cues. They can't figure this out. So they need to go back to like basic social dynamics to figure out what are the signals that a person is giving to let me know that they want to have this conversation, they don't want to have this conversation, they're interested, right? So if a girl is giggling or enjoying the conversation, she will give visible signs that she wants to have that conversation with you. If she's playing with her hair and flipping her hair, that's a biological innate sign that a girl is interested in you. It's biology. Animals do this in various ways. But if somebody's giving the immediate signals of not interested, don't push that. This is like basics. This is like a 101 move. So this seems like weird twin flame stuff because you're noticing, as Tristan and I covered on the twin flame stuff, it's the twin flames that push the stuff, the idea that you don't accept people's rejections. Yes, you should. If people reject you, number one, you got to get used to getting rejected. That's lesson number one, is that you're going to get rejected, and that's part of it. And who cares? It doesn't matter if you get rejected. You got to learn to not give a shit. But mistake, red flag number one, this dude says, I don't have to accept your rejection. And by the way, you got to be into kink and ropes. What? It goes immediately full Dahmer, dude. This dude went from 0 to Dahmer in no time. What? I mean, I don't understand how at all anybody, even if you're a serial killer, I don't think Dahmer went full Dahmer when he was first talking to people. Right? I mean, it's what?
Maybe you wouldn't be the best for me.
Yeah, fucking right, dweeb. She'd see through that lie so quickly. The only thing you're best at is top lane one-trick Teemo in your fucking anime club Discord group. Nope.
Yeah, I mean, nobody would buy that this dude is a Mac Daddy, okay, at all. Now, it's going to get funnier because he has a website.
I need to find the best one
that exemplifies everything that we're talking about today. And the mistake is, so this guy realized at some point, not this guy, the guy in the TikTok, he realized at some point that, okay, wait a minute, there's a lot of weird beta males out here. These guys are weirdos, they're goofy. I'm going to not be that. So the way to not be that is to follow a formula of the extreme opposite of that, as if people wouldn't see through this and realize that it's just weird and creepy. And it gets crazier.
Seems super weird. It is super weird.
She started going back and forth with me, and I started building attraction in that because now I had sidestepped her fucking rejection. Granted, keep in mind, I didn't force it. I didn't say, no, you're no. I just played into her little fucking game. I knew she was playing with me a little bit, or just kind of disengaging, and I gave her a little bit of fun. You want to know what I did with her later?
Of all of the things in the world that have never happened, that has never happened the most.
That's a great line. Exactly right. Now, let's come over here to his game website where he's going to teach you his game. Check this out. He says his proven results have given him over 100,000 Tinder matches in 2 years. First of all, I remember many years ago being on Tinder, and one of the first things you realize about Tinder, which everybody jokes about, is the insane number of bots that pop up to keep you in the app, to keep you thinking that you're actually getting matches. And it's all a bunch of stupid bots, and everybody realizes within about 5 minutes of being on Tinder that these are bots. Okay, this is not a real profile. It's 3 weird blurry pictures, and they're saying the same stupid bot responses. I mean, it's obvious. But so this guy actually, and who believes that he got 100,000 Tinder matches? Now I want to look up this dude. This dude actually seems more entertaining than the beta dudes. He says over 100,000 Tinder matches in 2 years and over 1,000 women in his dating lifestyle. So wait a minute. This is, by the way, this sentence makes no sense. Look at this grammar of this sentence. So, by the way, you don't start a sentence with as well as a little over 1,000 women in his dating lifestyle. First of all, he's writing that about himself. Writing like he's an idiot, by the way, who never had basic grammar. You can't start a sentence with as well as little over 1,000 women in his dating lifestyle. So, does that mean that he's dated over 1,000 women, or that there is presently over 1,000 of them in his lifestyle, which his lifestyle might include all of the different profiles that he saved online. It might include his giant weird stack of women's magazines that he has. I mean, what does that mean? Like, I have over 1,000 women in my lifestyle. 1,000 in your lifestyle. And multiple women currently with him. So as he's typing this about himself, does that mean like his mom and his sister are in the room? Or does it mean that, I mean, what does that mean? The methods are time tested and proven, not just by him. He's writing this himself, but by his clients. Who are the clients, man? We got to find this dude. This dude is awesome. So shout out to Penguins. I'll give you the link to his full video because he was cracking me up making fun of this dude. But just the paragraph alone is pretty awesome. And these are sentences, by the way. So remember, these are supposed to be complete thoughts with like subject, predicate, right? Noun, verb. Like, wait a minute. Across multiple types of men, these methods just work. Not a sentence. Wait a minute. Is that actually, could that one be across multiple types of men? That actually is a sentence. Okay, that one, he gets a pass on that one. As well as a little over 1,000 women currently and multiple currently with him. That's not a sentence. That's an incomplete sentence. The methods are time tested and proven not just by him, but also by his clients. Don't settle for mediocrity in your dating life. Embrace alpha mindset, unleash true potential, attract partners you desire. Cracking the alpha dating mind will equip you with skills, mindset. But wait a minute. Will it equip me with mindset? I got skills. I got charisma. I got dominant force. I don't have mindset. How can I get equipped with mindset? Gain the confidence, magnetism, and success you deserve in every romantic pursuit. You are your alpha potential. Yes.
To him and nope.
But hold up. I think I missed the first one. Yeah, let's go back to his first claim.
You want
tap water?
Nice.
Like it or not.
I'm a professional dating coach, and I teach guys how to understand the female mind.
Told you, dude. Will Smith right here. Hitch, baby. Right?
Now, if you're one of the people that haven't applied anything in my course or my videos or anything like that, this video is not for you. This is an advanced technique.
This ain't your great...
So, twin flames, not accepting rejection, stalking, advanced technique. Exactly. Let's see. Let's get to his other... here we go. Check this out. He mentions this guy, but he doesn't. But I don't remember where he mentions him because this sounds awesome, and I don't know his name. It's something like Alpha. Does anybody know who this TikToker is? He would actually be the funnest to watch.
Things like, why don't you give me yours, is a fucking thing that's going to weed out 95% of the spineless males that aren't persistent, that aren't fucking clever, that aren't witty, that can't have fun with her.
Yeah, those beta cucks. Not like Alpha here, who's so clever and witty he came up with the absolutely nefarious, diabolical, even,
without being extremely forceful, sidestep it. Like I just said in the last two videos.
By the way, Nobody believes that he's an alpha with that level of lisp. Okay, that's like a meta level 10th degree lisp. Like that's a 33rd degree mage level lisp. And he is not macking on the bays with that kind of a lisp. I guarantee you that.
You're welcome.
Disregard.
Thanks, dude. Let's see. Does anybody know his TikTok? I want to see his TikTok now.
Of the man that Alpha is.
I can drag my fingers down a girl's back and cause one. If you don't know...
What a weird... Look at that weird... How does he have such a weird circle hair? That's a perfect circle hair, dude. I mean... I don't... It's mysterious. Has anybody... Have you ever seen that circular of a hair? That's so weird. And I don't... by the way, and that dude's teeth are gross, dude. I'm not talking about... I got a rebel tooth, so I can't make fun of bottom row teeth. However, I have a nice up row teeth. So that dude's upper row teeth are garbage level.
I can't go into...
And that means he's not pulling these chicks. We all know that, right? Come on. Why am I highlighting this dude? Well, because people who are spurgs and don't know how to interact with women and are beta and all of that, they think that, I can solve these problems by this. If I become this dude and apply the algorithmic formula of becoming a player, it is this is what you get. This is the end result of that, is this dude.
AO.
Not hard. You're welcome.
Now this is going to come...
So he's giving tips on how to scratch a girl's back. Like a badger. He's a badger. He's a perfectly circular, spherical-headed badger in the bedroom.
So, I'm gonna try...
That dude's got a damn Office Depot. He works at Office Depot. He's not fooling anybody. That's an Office Depot shirt. And with a weird upper row of teeth like that, he is not a Mac Daddy. I can assure you that. So he's on break. He's making his TikTok videos on how to get chicks on his Office Depot break.
Again, composure in this one. I've filmed this video way too many fucking times.
No, you didn't. That's an absolute lie. You're trying to put on
the elite level of hate that I'm dealing with.
Whoa. Okay, has anybody figured out who he is in the chat? Because we gotta find... He's got them badger nails with a bunch of dirt underneath them too, probably. Now, he probably does clean his nails. He is a real person. He working at Office Depot and Staples at night. He got the day shift at Office Depot, the night shift at Staples, the night shift over at the damn morgue, right? What is this dude's TikTok? I gotta figure this out. He called him something alpha. Let's see if he's mentioned. Will you date me? No, leave me alone. I do not accept it. Get in my trunk. Get out of my dreams. Get into my trunk. This dude has over 100,000 subs. Okay, come on, man. TikTok can't be real. It cannot be. These numbers can't be real. I mean, if it is real, the world's over, dude. This is it. All right, let's. I gotta find this. This is too good.
Excuse you, pal. I'm 10p
Alpha game.
Nothing in this world is spare, son. Not a fucking thing. Do you know what? I'm feeling nice today. I do actually. Oh, fucking man.
Alpha game dating coach.
You got work.
Surely we'll get him with this. Alpha. Oh, we found him. Alpha Dom. Alpha dominance, baby. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. There's too much face going. I mean, there's like 80% of the screen is this dude's face from this like all the way up to this perfectly circular bald head. He needs to cut down some of the face that he has. If this dude could like chop off some of that face, And plus, he's just got an annoying face. So let's see.
Leg behavior. That's one of my favorite.
We gotta hear some game tips. Playa, what's up? Shout out to my players in the audience. It's game tips.
Leg behavior, that's one of my favorite to notice, and how to string things together to actually understand what she's actually thinking. I'm a professional dating coach, and I teach guys how to understand the female mind. Now,
I like how he reinforces his job, right, in every video, in the midst of being on break at Staples.
Got an hour and a half left.
Staples.
Well, actually, hour and a half, 2 hour drive back home. And I was going to make this video when I get back home, but that's not going to happen. I'm going to do it now. This creator made a video about me. He has 14.9 million followers. This is a big fish, so I'm not even going to return fire and mock him like he mocked me. There's plenty of material, but we're going to skip that. Anyways, here's the interesting thing. This is what we're going to do with this guy. But if you're watching this, if you sign my NDA that I have my $3,000 a month client sign, I will show you what I show them, which is just the massive abundance. Because you said I didn't get women and I don't get models and stuff like that. And I'm going to just show you. I'm just going to open my entire world.
Yes, he has 9,000 followers on Twitter. I mean, on TikTok. he says that everybody signs a NDA for his $3,000 private course. So he can't show you the bitches because everybody signed an NDA, dude. You think he's gonna? The people who went on a date signed an NDA. He can't name all these babes. He said the models. This guy's awesome. So, and he's replying to the video making fun of him. All right, let's see.
A lot of my
he's got to confront the lies, rumors, and lies. Remember that rap song? Lies, rumors, and lies.
Followers have been asking me on Telegram and stuff like that. Hey, are you going to address the rumors eventually?
So remember, guys, we're learning not just how to identify a beta. We can all see a beta male, but the beta who is LARPing as a player. That's the new problem that we have. And this is a perfect example of that. The person who thinks that I would like to cease being a beta. I would like the ladies. I would like access to women's. How do I do that? There is a LARP, a costume that I can wear. It requires 25 points on a checklist. I will check them all off. Is this dude?
In time. The time has come. A long time ago, there was this video that happened, right? And a lot of people didn't watch it. They got hooked by that hook, and then they just lost their mind, which is understandable. Only 24.19 finished. Don't finish too early. Nobody likes that.
Get it? It was a sex joke. Oh. No, he's back in he's on Staples break. He's trying to hurry before the manager comes out there and tells him to get out of his car and stop making videos. He's got to get back in there and he's got to unload the HP printers because the printers have sold out today.
No, not choking. My weakness, the thing I can't do. Only vanilla people, know about that and do that too.
Does he have a dip in? I mean, this dude's got such a. He looks like he's about to spit some skull over there. That's like he's like, no, chicks are actually into me spitting skull on them. You might think that it's beta to spit skull, but actually spitting dip on a chick is what they like. It's really deep and dirty, and that's their thing.
Oops, sorry, my bad. Anyways, he's a specimen. Can we all agree on that? Like, he's like fucking like Nord.
This is the kind of dude. Look, whoa, dude, that's like sloth level gums, bro. Ain't nobody believing that sloth right here is macking on chicks. Okay. Hey, you guys, I got her number. Come on, dude. For real? This is the kind of dude that always has something stuck in that tooth right there. You know what I mean? That kind of dude. This is grossing me out.
Got an hour and a half left. This is the last tip I'm giving to guys about behaviors that girls do that kind of sense that something's up when it comes to legs and
behaviors that girls give that kind of sense that something's up. What? Leg interlock? What?
Feet. I'm a professional dating coach, and I teach guys how to...
He just wants to talk about feet, dude. What the heck?
Here's a leg behavior that's one of my favorite to notice, and how to string things together to actually understand what she's actually thinking. I'm a professional... Something you should...
He's a leg and feet man. That's just what this comes down to.
Something you should, and I think most men should notice when they approach women, but they really don't. I'm a professional dating coach, and I teach guys how to understand the female mind. When I approach a woman, I'm looking for a few things, and one of them is the gap. The gap is where you take your position before her, start talking to her.
Oh, I thought he was talking about going shopping. Hey, girl, I'm about to take you to the Gap. You need a bucket hat that says Gap on it, baby. I got you covered. You need a puffy Balenciaga style jacket that is reasonably priced for 60% less than a Balenciaga puffy jacket. I got you covered at the Gap, baby.
And then 3 things usually happen. Usually on the initial, and they'll happen at different points too. But on the initial, either one, she'll stay at that distance and just stay there and talk with you, which means she's comfortable. Her limbic brain does not view you as a threat, but she's also not necessarily super attracted to you. And then number 2 is she actually takes a step back, which means her limbic brain feels under threat or stress.
This dude's over here doing ballistics warfare inspection on how far away she's standing. I mean, none of this at all seems to feel natural. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of this should come natural if you've interacted with people and had conversations. And this feels like some sort of engineering manual or something, right? This is funny.
And then number 3 is her.
Look at this guy right here. Alex Pigeon. Yo, Dom, I used your course. I slept with 20 girls this month. So now we know Alpha Dom's sock profile, right? Let's see. This is the playa who used this method. Oh, what do you know? It's a fake-ass profile with no bio and a frog and one video of some AI crap. So this is his bot video. He probably bought that. Here's Nathan. Look at this player right here, Nathan. Nathan Copy in the house. What's up? Nathan Copy. He was up there getting all them copies made at Alpha Dom's Staples Center. Here's Nathan. Okay, so Nathan's like, all right, look at this chick. I bagged her in Vegas. I'm a player. Look at this. Let's see if Nathan's a real player.
Give me one margarita.
Yup. I buy it. Nathan's a player. He got the course. Look at this chicks over here. We got moms, single moms over here like, yo, course is lit. I'm gonna take
This is the last.
I'm a girl and I'm gonna take your course.
Here's a leg beat. Something you should, and I think most men should. The leg cross. Going off the last video, it leads us into this comment because not only is she asking, my client is asking a very similar thing.
His client is asking the same question that the bot is asking.
Last night, and now granted.
How do you make all your girls feel special? I'd be insecure.
I will have to say this. This question is one of the reasons why people fork over crazy crap.
One of the reason why. This dude that can't even talk.
Enough money to have the expertise of Alpha Dom, because this is the intense stuff. People think that what I teach on TikTok or my course is like complex deep crap. No, that's just.
Look, I don't teach no complex deep crap, dude. It's just the basics. Who are all these people? So just, do we have no mods? All the mods left? Just ban these people spamming this shit. Like that's gonna get me to debate. Like if you spam something like 50 times, oh well, since you spammed it the 61st time, I'm down. Let's do it, baby.
Tip of the iceberg.
Guys, please. We're learning how to get late. We're learning how to meet babes. How come you guys don't want to learn how to meet babes? Yes, women love pasty noodle arms, absolutely. And teeth that are going their own way. A feminist girl loves a rebel tooth because she identifies with it, right? That tooth going its own way. I like this man. His teeth don't even give a shit. His teeth just go in any direction they want.
Where this question
got a rebel tooth.
Getting there. It's easy to build attraction compared to dealing with this. Now, how do you make all your girls feel special individually? I'd personally be insecure. I wasn't doing enough for you. A lot of people think that poly, we're just like sex crazed maniacs, that's all we care about and stuff like that. Now, I can't speak for every single poly person. I do assume there are people, especially in the beginning, that are poly. What happens when you listen to Alpha Dom and you're
poly want a cracker?
Please bear with me while I talk about this video. Footsies.
All he talks about is feet. This is weird.
Shoe play or the shoe dangle.
This dude is just got weird creep fetish. That's it. He's talking about feet, footsies,
It's exhausting when I have to answer 10 questions.
He got the Tarantino method of game.
He's got the Quentin Tarantino method of game. I'm gonna teach you how to get some. You're gonna get laid. Okay, this is Quentin Tarantino. I'm gonna shut your butt down because I'm gonna get you laid with my footsie method. Okay.
Over and over again, but this one I don't mind because usually it leads. A lot of people have been asking this question. Alpha Dom, what are your certifications? Did you go to women dating school? Did you do the how to date the school, the paper? Did you do it? No. And my clients actually honestly don't give a crap about that. Let me give you kind of understanding of how my clients work and what interests them. No, I don't have any certifications or papers in how to date. I have results. I'm a real life dating coach.
What are the results? Where's the dude sitting in his damn Nissan Altima over here talking about his results? Come on, dude. Where are the results? He should at least like bring some of his babes on, but they signed a non-disclosure agreement.
Our professional dating coach, and this body language tell is one that made one of my videos extremely viral on one of my other channels. I'm a professional dating coach, and I teach guys how to understand the female mind. I want you to picture that you're standing and you cross your ankles like this while you're standing.
Everything that he talks about,
leg splaying and how
it's about legs and what
gravity defying.
This is really funny.
So my girls asked me to blind react to this video or this comment.
My girls.
So here we are. If it's bad, I'm gonna do it all in one cut. If it's bad, then it is what it is.
I think it would be great if it came out that this dude was just joking the whole time. This is great. But hey, like this is proof that no one has discernment because this dude actually does have some followers and actually probably does sell this course. So look, does that not prove my point that we have lost all discernment? John $117.5. Did you see that there was a dude that was like a male stripper that took off his shirt and was on a scripper pole? Hey, all y'all scrippers, y'all got to leave. That's a Little John reference. Yes, so at the men's conference, they had a stripper dude. I'm sorry, bros. That's faking gray. That is not dude stuff. So, let's see. Christian. I forgot to. I think this was at that same men's thing, right? Christian men's stripper guy event. Christian event showman. So Mark Driscoll, who we made fun of over here, he went on there and told them that this is inappropriate. Which it is, but Mark Driscoll is obviously like a complete quack loon as well. I'm trying to find the actual. Let's see. I want to see the actual event though, and what. I want to see what was going on. I don't want to see no damn dudes on stripper poles. Okay. So the evangelical world is faking gray, dude. Did you not know this?
This is at church.
Is that church? Is that church right here?
It was a male conference.
Man, even these black dudes are like, this church? Church is crazy in the black church. And even them black dudes like, this church? What? That ain't no church. Like every reaction video. What? This church? Okay, Mark Driscoll. Where is the freaking church? Good grief. This is because Google just doesn't work anymore. Like whatever you search for, it just gives you the stupidest result that has nothing to do with the actual thing that you're looking for. I know Mark Driscoll was kicked off stage. I don't care about that. I want to see some men's. I want to see men's. Ooh. Ooh. Here we go. We got to go to Twitter. That's where we're going to find it. I want to see the men's strippings. The men's.
I've been up since 1 o'clock in the morning. The reason I'm hoarse is I have been praying for you, and my heart is very burdened for you.
Ugh. Here we go. The old, I am better than you because I'm praying for you. And I want to tell the whole world how much I'm praying for you because, by the way, F you, because I'm praying for you.
And I want to be very careful with this, and it's not what I want to say. But the Jezebel spirit has already been here.
The Jezebel spirit. The evangelicals love talking about the Jezebel spirit. Male stripper. Was this at the same men's event? Is that the one the Randy Ball? Was this Randy Balls is who's guilty? Is it Randy Balls that's guilty of this? I'm tired of seeing Mark Driscoll. I don't want to see Mark Driscoll. Does the chat know? Hey chat, do y'all know? Is it the same event? Was it the men's event? Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Megachurch strip show performance at men's conference. Mark Driscoll spoke against it and they asked him to leave. Based. Exclusive. How dirt poor bad boy was a sleepy from a sleepy Moldovan town. What? A sleepy town? Became a seedy Vegas stripper. By the way, he will be at our live event. If y'all come see us in Vegas, we got sleepy Moldovan stripper boy at the Vegas event. That's a joke. Before wowing millions with his sword swallow. This is the gayest crap ever, dude. I mean, evangelicals, hello, right? Dude, Randy Balls couldn't think this up. Randy Balls in that skit did mention strippers. He said there's his mega church has a pizza joint with strippers. I think he said that. So I was even more accurate than I thought. This shit's crazy, bro. It's crazy, bro. Guys, remember, there's so much soy going around, so much beta, so much. That's amazing. That's a beta. That's a SIMP. So much of that going around. You got to head on over to chalk.com right here. Use the promo code J50 to get 50% off all those products. Oh, my goodness. Ugh, what the heck is going on? Storm the Cat, $5. Do you think the global elite will do a fake rapture to trick evangelicals? I don't think so. How would you do a fake rapture? I mean, you would have to have a lot of people disappearing. So that doesn't seem very feasible. Fake aliens seems more feasible than a fake rapture. Saint Michael the Archangel, $5. Zootown is trying to make an Orthodox Protestant crossover church. Yeah, that's fake and gray, for real. $5. The Zootown dude is converting to Orthodoxy and trying to bring the church. He had Father Jonathan on the Transfigured Life podcast. Pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think that, it kind of depends on what jurisdiction they're going into, and whether they will, whether that will be a good thing, or whether they will try to make a new halfway Orthodox, halfway evangelical church is the danger. Jennifer, $10. I don't know if you mentioned it, but there's a shirtless male pole dancer at the megachurch conference. The pastor beefed when Larry David got called on it. So it is the same conference. Andrew G, $2. Do a debate review of the Destiny Tristan debate. I mean, it wasn't a real debate. What were your thoughts? It wasn't a real debate. Big Boss, $5. I saw a video about earbuds, and the dude said there were precautions. Keep in mind when you open the case, the West has fallen. Oh, you think like maybe everybody using earbuds is getting messed with? Maybe earbuds are the real secret to, I don't know, to messing with people, right? I mean, remember to use the promo code J50 to get 50% off all of these awesome products here at the chalk.com. You get the testosterone boosting Tonkat Ali, proven in studies. Go read them over here at chalk.com to boost testosterone, as well as other great products like the Action 2.0, the pre-workout Chad mode, as you see right here, this performance stack. You're not going to pay $174. You only pay half of that with the promo code J50, JAY50, 50% off chalk.com, and they're excellent products. You can also get a bigger discount if you subscribe on a recurring cycle of J53 Life. That's JAY53 LIFE, and get that recurring subscription going at that wonderful based trad cool hot fire it girl diva website, chalk.com. Right there is the link. We had a lot of fun. We talked a lot about beta and simp and alpha gamma. We talked a lot about funny stuff. Let's go through some of my lists as we close it out here of things to avoid. So I agree with Cotel, and his stream that he did is really good. Go check it out. We're piggybacking on that stream about the anatomy of a beta simp. The psychology here is, like he said, a lack of power, a lack of influence, a lack of masculine influence, and therefore attempts at making up for that. So some of the temptations to make up for that might be to retreat into fantasy worlds. And back in the 90s, this was like nerds would read fantasy novels, or nerds would retreat into video games existed, but it wasn't really the period yet where you could live in a video game. We started to see this in the 2000s, where people started living in World of Warcraft, right? People would spend days, weeks, months living in the World of Warcraft. If you're in your 20s and you're putting that much time into video games, it's time to stop. That's it. It's just that clear. That has got to go. Okay. If you are in your 20s and you are drinking all the time, cut it out. That's got to go, because it lowers your testosterone. It gives you man boobs. It does all this stuff that we saw as we ranted about the IPA idiots. And again, remember, in a lot of this, it's not either or. It's rather having these things at the appropriate time, the appropriate place. So I'm not telling you that you can never drink. It's not my place to tell you that. You got to get to the point where you're mature enough and you have enough self-control to figure out what's right for you. And that might be never drinking. I chose to make that decision because when I would drink, I would get tired. I would go to sleep earlier. I would lose a lot of energy that I might have put into pursuits and endeavors that would further what I want to do, right? I'd have more energy to write, more energy to make videos, more energy to do talks, more energy to do a debate. Whereas if I'm drinking consistently, my energy levels would be reduced probably 50% or more. It also attacks, I think, you. It makes you less virile. It makes you less low T. So there's just not a lot of pros to consistent drinking. And as you get older, it's not fun. Okay, so the fun times that you're having when you're 20 with your friends, it's not going to be that way by the time you're 30 and you're still drinking. It's not. The pleasure that you get is not going to be there. The experience at the bar by the time you're 30 is now you're drinking with a bunch of losers at the bar and not your fun friends when you're 20. Because you're drinking with the people who drink all day at the bar. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about, I didn't ever get that far into drinking all the time. I just decided that I wasn't getting anything out of drinking. Because it's not, after like 22, 3, 4, it's not fun anymore. So social drinking, okay, yeah, if you can handle that, if you can regulate that, that's fine. But a lot of people will find that what was fun in their 20s, as they've continued to drink a lot or every weekend throughout their 20s, by the time you're 30, it's now a quasi-addiction and it's not fun anymore. It's part of your life. Ooh, you see. So the fun thing that you thought, oh, I can quit at any time. Oh, no, now it's crept up. And it's become a necessity or something you're attached to. So I would just say quit. There's not anything you're going to get from it. So like Cotel said, I agree. Beta males don't have power, so they're looking for ways to exert that or ways that they can compete and find a dominance hierarchy that they can, because guys are innately competitive. So they get into video games. Or they get into, like, I noticed millions of views on videos of people that do video game time runs, right? Where they're trying to have the quickest time beating Mario levels or something. And there's like 6 million views on these videos of these poor nerd kids spending all of this time to achieve something absolutely irrelevant and worthless. Imagine putting a year of your time into playing Mario to get the quickest time amongst a bunch of other nerds. And it's just worthless. It's a total waste of time. And guess what? When you get 40, when you're 35, when you're 30, you will look back on your 20s and say, oh my gosh, why was I wasting so much time with stupid stuff? Idiotic irrelevance. How many hours did you spend on Twitter? So in the 2000s, it was hours wasted on Facebook. Nowadays, everyone's wasting their time on TikTok and Twitter. Stop wasting your time on things that don't matter, that have nothing to do with your daily life, that are now controlling and influencing you on a daily basis, controlling and affecting your emotions and your attitude, with people halfway across the world that you have no connection to. I'm an activist. I'm an online activist. No, you're not. You're not doing shit. You're not affecting the world at all. You're not changing the world. I'm an online activist. Ugh. I'm going to affect and change 3,000 miles away. No, you're not. You're just wasting your time. And no one cares. Change the things around you and in you first. The easiest mistake and move that people make, especially when you're young, is I'm an idealistic special one. I will change the world with my ideas. I will fix Israel-Palestine by tweeting. No, you won't. You're not going to fix anything. You haven't fixed dinner. You don't even know how to cook dinner. What are you talking about? You're going to fix Israel-Palestine? The trash needs to be taken out. Way out of whack priorities, bro. So, again, identifying and getting rid of problems. Do you have toys? Are there any toys in your room? Okay, you should not have toys in your room. When I see live streamers and people that show me what's in their room, you can immediately tell a whole lot from what's in their room. There are no toys in this room, anywhere. Now, if you've got some little memento, it's not a big deal, okay? Thank goodness there's absolutely no toys in here. I had an ex-girlfriend one time when I was 22. She gave me a Jawa. So I have a beanie Jawa that sits on my bookshelf in the other library. That's the one toy that exists anywhere. And it's not because that chick's even special. It's just this random beanie that's like stuck with me all these years. I don't even think about her. I just have this random object over there, a Jawa. But there are no toys anywhere in that household. And when I see dudes that live stream that are gamers, and and typically these are fairly intelligent people. What's behind them is toys, comic books, Funko Pops. I mean, this is the essence of why we hate Funko Pops so much. Is that grown men are it's beyond arrested development. It's neoteny, right? It's where you don't progress mentally, physically, spiritually out of a certain stage of like a 13-year-old. So we've got dudes that are like 25 and even 30 acting like they're 13. It's bizarre. And I'm guessing that a big part of it is the psychology of a lack of power, and that leads to thinking that they can go into a fantasy world. Fantasy worlds are a big part of this problem. And that's ultimately, as we said, what the metaverse and what virtual reality and what wherever gaming goes will be intended on locking you into that enslavement. And that's what's coming. So it's not that you have to never do these things or all of these things are evil in themselves. It's that these things are not meant to control you. You need to have the self-control and the ability to cultivate virtue to where you control when those things are in your life, and that therefore they're not dominating your life. Okay, so self-control. It's that simple. And you're not immediately going to have perfect self-control. Nobody does. You have to work at this for a long time, and you can't stop. It requires discipline. So when people ask me, how did you get good at debating? It wasn't a course. It wasn't an overnight. It wasn't this or that. It was consistency. It was constantly doing and being engaged in those things. And there's no way to replace reading thousands of books. People ask, how do you know all this stuff? How'd you learn all this stuff? I didn't waste my time doing dumb shit. I did waste my time doing some dumb shit. But I didn't waste enough time doing dumb shit that I could read thousands of books over the years. And you can't replace that. There's no shortcuts. So that's why when you realize as you get older that there's no shortcuts, you realize, hey, my time is actually valuable. I don't want to waste my time. And then as you get older and you own and run businesses, you realize how more valuable time is and other people's time, so that you don't waste and try to monopolize other people's time. That becomes elements of professionalism that you learn as you engage in and do these kinds of things. But that's like the business side of stuff, so we're not getting into that. So other things that go along with the problems of the beta and the gamma, the SIMP, is not just collecting toys and this idiotic arrested development neoteny situation, but the anger and the rage that they feel that gets pent up, which also has to do with diet. So a lot of the problem with these young guys is not just ideas and lazy, whatever. Sloth is a big problem too. And that's what the boomers never address actual real problems. It's always like these attenuating problems. Well, they're lazy. They won't get a damn job. That's not the root of the problem. Because a lazy person doesn't sit there and master some ridiculous thing like Mario Brothers and the time runs that takes a year of doing. That's not a lazy person. That's a weirdo. But it's not lazy because they're investing ridiculous amounts of time, effort, and struggle on something retarded. That's the problem. So they're in a circle of where they want to be the alpha time run person on Mario or whatever. But that's a ridiculous genre where you don't need to be an alpha. That you shouldn't be trying to be the alpha of the time runs. I mean, that's still pathetic. Okay? So get out of that. That's for kids. Sports is for kids. All of the dudes into fantasy football and into football in general, that's kid stuff, dude. You should have grown out of that. I mean, after like high school or the one exception would be like if you play college football or something. Like after that, you should be done with sports. And sports is the biggest idol in this country. That's what nobody understands. I used to think everybody loves movies. No, they don't. They worship sports, which is the stupidest, fakest, gayest thing of all time. I hate sports so much. And I've talked about how much I hate sports for years. I can't stand it. Once I realized when I was 17, 16, I made the high school team. I was like, I'm not going to be in the NBA. I'm done with this. I don't care about this anymore. It's not fun anymore. At one time it was fun. It's not fun anymore. Why am I doing this? Okay. Sports have a role in a young person's development to teach them teamwork and skills and, confidence and stick-to-itiveness, discipline. Yeah, exactly. That's its purpose. Okay. And you can continue to do those things if you play the sport in your adulthood. That's great. But watching all of this sports is no different. It's like a little bit more masculine than the soy toy men that collect toys. Okay, at least the sports guys are a little more. But even all that sports culture is ridiculous and a waste of time. It's all wasting your time. I mean, unless you made like $100,000 on your fantasy football team, it's a total waste of time and money. I heard a story one time of one dude that made like thousands of dollars from fantasy football, which kind of surprised me. I didn't think you could make that much money from that. But I mean, even that's just kind of like a dumb version of gambling. Fantasy football? Kyle Larson, $5. Jay, underneath the Dark Lord, who is the head servant of Earth? The Fabian Socialist, the UN, the Theosophists, the CFR, the Club of Rome, 13 Families. All of those groups essentially... I mean, I don't know that we can put them on some... I mean, they're all essentially working underneath, spiritual darkness. So it's all part of the same entity. Justice, $3. Justice 3. Hi. Thank you. Hi, what's up? Anonymous, $15. You said at the beginning of your stream, it's very true, that you won't learn until you make a lot of big mistakes in life. I thought I was invincible. Everybody who's like 22 thinks they're invincible and nothing can hurt them, and they're going to do everything and they're going to conquer. And that youthful delusion that you have, it's part of a process that you got to go through. So you got to fail a few times. You got to make some mistakes. I'm not telling you to do evil things. You're going to do that fine on your own. But you're going to learn from those mistakes, and that's all part of cultivating virtues. That's the point of today. And there's no shortcuts. Every soy man that we've talked about, soy toy, collecting their figurines and their Marvel men or whatever, they also want shortcuts. They want shortcuts to getting babes, getting whatever. There's no shortcuts. So finance bros telling you that you can make $1 million overnight by buying shit coin, it's not going to work. There's no poop coin that's going to give you $1 million. And when that happens, it's like the lottery. Okay, it's not going to happen to you. So it's a waste of time and effort and money. Think about the lottery. Now, the lottery is more of a boomer thing. But I was thinking about all the people going into the lottery or to the gas stations over the years, and you see them buying their lottery tickets every week. And you think about, well, they're at wage cut job, working class stuff, and they're putting all this money every week into the lottery. How idiotic is this? Because it's just going into a black hole. It's wasteful. Now, the dollar is fiat wasteful nonsense itself, but your only way out of this would have been for all of those years to have been putting your money into just hodl Bitcoin. Hodling Bitcoin for all the years that boomers bought stupid lottery tickets would have made them the very money that they were trying to get through the freaking lottery. And it's still not too late. I mean, how silly is this? And if you don't understand this, go watch this basic video from Michael Saylor on the basics of Bitcoin. So there's that. A few more points here. The beta male has the ideal of white knight. And I just realized, by the way, is that from Through the Looking Glass? I didn't realize that, but when I read it, the later chapter, the White Knight comes in to save Alice from the Red Knight, and he's like a bumbling goober. And that's accurate because, first of all, you're not going to gain a woman or a girl or a wife or whatever you're after, girlfriend, by displaying qualities that this society no longer values. Okay, so we don't live in the Middle Ages. So it's not appropriate for you, when there's a person that you don't know, to try to display White Knight stuff to rescue somebody whom you don't yet know if they're worthy of the rescue. You don't know. And let me show you what I mean by this. I'm not saying that you can't be helpful to people or that you shouldn't be kind to people. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the display of simpery. For example, this gross chick who, the way she talks to her OF audience, like this guy. So this guy is a young guy. He's funny. He trolls a lot of these people. And this is some OF chick, Camilla or something. And she was doing a live stream on her Discord or something. He popped on there and he starts trolling her. And the long story short, you don't have to, I'll give you a link to the video if you want to watch the whole thing. It's kind of funny, but her whole attitude is that her pay piggies are literally just pay piggies. Now, I made the pay piggy song. It's a joke. This audience can tell when it's a joke. But she sees them as weird creeps. She even calls them weird creeps, basically, in the video. And she says, they got me a Rolex. And it's like, wait a minute. He says, so you think that they're basically there just to extract wealth to get you a Rolex, and you think they're weirdos. And he says, do you think you're better than these people and me because you have the Rolex? And she's like, yeah. So the simp attitude here is, this gal is, I can rescue her from her poor downtrodden lifestyle of having to put herself out there on OF. And if I send her money and if I give her attention, and maybe she will tweet at me and she will message me. And not only will she never do that, this video actually gets her to express what she actually thinks about the pay piggies. She can't stand them. She thinks they're disgusting. So she gets this pink Rolex. She basically says they're my pay piggies and they're a bunch of weirdos. Of course not. And so he's like, well, wait a minute. I'm in your audience. And do you think I'm a weirdo? She's like, you probably live in your mom's basement and you probably drive a Nissan Altima, blah, 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 blah. And so he basically exposes her as hating her audience, you see. Now, this is an example of what I'm talking about. That if you're a White Knight who thinks, I must save this poor girl from her downtrodden life of online stripping, I will White Knight for her. No, she doesn't like you at all. She thinks you're disgusting. And she lets that out in this video. That's why this video is interesting. So what I'm saying is that this is not the Middle Ages where if a woman is being accosted by a bard, a drunken bard on the way, and you step up and unsheathe your, avast ye! Step away from the maiden there, right? This is not that time. But dudes are idealistic, and especially if they're young, and they'll think as if that's how the world works. And I think this is kind of the point of Don Quixote, right? Not the point of that chapter in Alice in Wonderland, but I was looking up the origin of White Knight, and I guess it's kind of ambiguous. I was not really sure where the phrase comes from, because there were actual heraldry awards given in the 1300s to knights that was called a white knighthood. So it's out of this period of chivalry, but my guess would be, again, through the looking glass, because that's what the White Knight does, is he saves Alice from the Red Knight, but he's a bumbling goober, so it's appropriate. So chivalry is something that is earned, you see, and it needs to be appropriate to the situation. So if you've been with a girl and she's a likely candidate for your time, money, and affection, girlfriend, engaged, wife, whatever, that makes sense that you would exemplify that kind of protective attitude or helpful attitude. It does not make sense in this situation, you see. Okay. Victim ideology is another thing I wanted to talk about too, because a lot of the guys that and the guys that hear me talking about this stuff and they see this chick, like a 20-year-old dude will think the answer is to jump into being the alpha dom TikTok guy that we just saw, right? They think, oh, I can not be the beta, I'm going to be the alpha TikTok dude. But that dude came off as a complete goober, and it was obvious. Maybe not obvious to everybody, but because he has a following. But to most of us, it's like, wait a minute, this is goofy. We have some discernment, I think, on this channel, right? But victim ideology is another problem here, because the guys that are young and are mad at the situation of the world, their first temptation is to think in a victim ideology way. And this is actually what we always critique social justice warriors of, right? So we're always saying that social justice warriors are weak, they're snowflakes, this kind of stuff. I mean, that's boomer terminology from like 10 years ago, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, we think that having this perpetual victim ideology is a sign of weakness. There's something going on where the person can't take responsibility and decide to make changes in their own life. There's a perpetual sign of weakness here that usually is then displayed by passive-aggressive behavior, mental, social breakdowns, the reeing. Remember the video with the Sam Hyde that we were watching, that clip where the guy was screaming at the girl that she has to make a choice whether he will be in the friend zone or not, but he knows that she will not be with him because he always gets screwed over, and he screams and he scoots off on his scooter. That's the guy I was talking about that was selling his scooter for shitcoin, by the way. For poop coin. He's going to sell his scooter. So this leads to an idea of the incel, and then the incel thinks that, oh, I'm now the victim. I'm going to get online and go after these chicks. And it's just another waste of time. The answer is not more rage. The answer is, let's get to work. Let's change what's going on in our own lives first. And we're not going to worry about what these thoughts and hoes up to. We're not worried about that. We're going to start step one, working on what's going on here in my life. So instead of fussing about internet hoes all day, let's work on this. We'll get the whiteboard out. Have we figured out basic principles of investing? Bitcoin, real estate. That's the practical stuff I'm talking about. I don't make enough money. If you make any money, you should start putting some aside for this. And I don't make enough money. But you're buying cigarettes. You're buying American spirits. I don't make enough money. Stop vaping. Stop drinking. I don't make enough money. Yes, you do. Whatever, stop streaming services. Whatever you're throwing your money into. OF hose. Stop. Next up, fix your diet. Start with cutting out the soy and the sugar and as many carbs as you can, because your diet affects your mood. Your gut's your second brain. I think a lot of these soy dudes that have these mental breakdowns, screaming fits, they're also on these really weird estrogen-filled diets. You know, they're eating like cartoon slop. Literally, like anything with a cartoon character on it is cartoon slop. And then they're like going crazy because they're growing breasts, right? I mean, the same with the beer boys. Okay, so the cartoon slop boys and the IPA boys, they have some of the same estrogenic problems, if you catch my drift. Next up, you got to start learning some real stuff. Learn about how the world really works. I realize too that I have actually done too much conspiracy talk. And it's not that the conspiracies and the espionage and the geopolitics isn't true. It is true. However, a lot of that information, the general public, they don't see how that relates to their daily life. They don't see why it's relevant. And I can understand, if you think about it, well, why would they? Why would some dude working at Arby's care about what British intelligence is up to? It makes no sense, practically speaking. It's not that it's not true. And in the bigger picture, it does relate. It does ultimately kind of connect back into Arby's, right? But, and the secret sauce. The British intelligence is getting everybody through that secret sauce. I'm joking. But the geopolitical big conspiracy stuff is still kind of not that practical for most of us, even me. So I've been a little bit, I've done a bit of a disservice by so much focus on the big macro picture that we got a lot of dudes that need to get the basics set up before they start thinking about British intelligence operations, right? I mean, now that I think about it, it even sounds kind of ridiculous. And it's not that the things aren't true, but a lot of people, even smart dudes, and I think I felt this way at one point in my 20s, conspiracy theories can be their own sort of victim ideology, can't they?
Well, what am I going to do? I can never build this New World Order. I can't stop it. Why does it even care? Why does it matter? I don't care. What can I even do? What is it supposed to... What's the point? What's the fucking point? What's the point?
I've heard so many dudes say that to me. Like I start talking about something. Oh, this is the history of espionage operations and the Mossad. What's the point? What's the point? That's not the right answer. However, I do understand now that, yeah, well, what is the point? Well, yeah, let's reorient everything to the basics. So let's start with proper education. So if you were in some dumb government school, that was there to make you a dumb slow boy. And I'm sorry, but that's the reality. So let's not be victims and let's not bitch all day long about this or that conspiracy. Because, okay, so we've recognized that. Now let's talk about solutions. And we have talked about solutions quite a bit the last several years. Because I realized in my 20s, what's the point of talking about, bitching about conspiracies all day long? Nothing. It doesn't do anything. And it has a place because it is important to wake people up to what's going on. But if you just talk about freaking the grossest conspiracy, Podesta-ish, whatever, that kind of, like, that doesn't get you anywhere. It's demoralizing. And perhaps some of that stuff's intended to be demoralizing. So we want to also bring in the positive sides. We want to talk about not just knowing all the conspiracies, but cultivating virtue. And cultivating virtue includes getting your life right. And that doesn't mean you're going to be perfect. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to be battling vices your whole life. Okay? You're going to be 80 and still having dirty thoughts and temptations. Okay? You're not going to overnight be some glowing saint or whatever. So we want to start with getting these things in line. And diet health, that also includes cut out the gaming and bring in things like the gym or some form of exercise. And if you don't want to go to the gym, figure out something else. Like what we started doing a few years ago when we didn't have a gym near us was we decided to start doing these really long walks. I'm talking like 4, 5, 6 mile walks. And that's really exhausting, and you will lose a lot of the carbs, that are bloating you. So if you're not ready immediately to start with something wild or intense, start with really extensively long walks. And when you get built up to that, then move on to more intensive stuff. You're going to have to think about reorienting and starting over with all of your education. So that means you're going to have to, and these are traditionally masculine things, okay? One of the big problems is that in education, the feminists have taken over the arts, which are actually supposed to be masculine. And so now the arts have been completely feminized in education and in higher level education, academia. This is disastrous. This is part of the reason why so many things are bad. So even though maybe engineering and mathematics, which is actually starting to cave to the woke and the CRT as well, even though that's still probably dominated at least, hopefully, by men, that probably won't last very long. That will further contribute to the collapse of everything. But we're in this sweet spot to where you don't have to go sit underneath a feminist professor teaching you the arts and classical philosophy and classical education. We're at the sweet spot where every one of you in this audience, who I guarantee you waste a lot of time. You could be learning all kinds of things. You could be learning all the stuff that I talk about. So when I did that Mossad movie stream, that got like 30% of the views of the rest of the streams. There should be double the viewage of that than these other streams. Because you should be learning about those kinds of things. Learning about what's going on, not because you think you're going to save it, because you want to understand things. You're not going to save everybody in the Middle East. You're not going to save the world. No, but it is time to start learning these things. And all I'm saying is that if you want to learn things, then think about reorienting and structuring your time. And by the way, as a more right brain person than left brain, I'm not very good at that. I'm not very good at structuring and keeping up with time. I'm very bad at it. I have to literally put multiple reminders on, multiple entries into the phone calendar. I have to tell everyone to remind Jamie to remind me of stuff because my mind doesn't think in a very structured way. My mind is very stream of conscious all the time, crazy out there, all over the place, like you see on the live streams. So I'm not saying this to you as somebody who's mastered this. I'm no good at this. So the time management stuff is a huge challenge for me. But it's something to continue to work on. And for example, since I do run my own business, I have had to force myself to be better at managing time. But I'm still terrible at it. I still get time zones wrong and I miss interviews and I think, oh, this is this wrong time zone. Plus we change time zones all the time, so I'm always confused about that. But think about these practical things and beginning to start to restructure and work on your management of those things. So traditionally masculine disciplines, you know, it's sad to me that like literature, that's actually a masculine thing. I know that sounds foreign to everybody's heads here. What literature? That's a bunch of chicks and it's how I feel about the no, it's not that. Literature is like Dostoevsky, bro. We're talking Faulkner. I mean, these are not Capote. These are not. Well, he was gay, so maybe you don't count. I meant Hemingway. Excuse me. Moby Dick, and actually like Confidence Man better. Melville. Excuse me. I didn't say Melville, not Capote. I mean, literature is actually a masculine thing, and nowadays we think of it as this girl thing. I don't think that it is, and that doesn't mean that there can't be great female writers. Flannery O'Connor is one of my favorites. She's a genius female writer, literature-wise. But what I'm saying is that the domain of literature should actually be masculine dudes, and it's not. But that's because of the feminization of all higher academics. And so you need to, on your own, begin to learn philosophy, history, theology. Those are masculine disciplines. And I would say literature as well is a masculine discipline. Now, if you don't find those things that interesting, you don't have to do that. You can decide on your own to learn, I don't know, guitar. You're going to go learn, I don't know. Dudes love to like, you know, take on these projects. That's a dude type. I'm going to go learn electrical engineering. And dudes will sit there and like watch a bunch of videos and figure out how to, I don't know, create electrical shit, right? That's a masculine thing. So it doesn't have to be these things. You don't like this stuff. Because a lot of people just don't really care about philosophy. You don't have to. However, I would say as a man, it would be good to have some kind of well-rounded idea of the basic history of Western civilization, philosophy, and religion. And if you want to engage and interact in this world, you're also going to have to learn some things about women and how women are and how women act and how to interact with women. This is the point in part of Proverbs. I can't believe everyone, in terms of all this red pill stuff, I'm the only one that's been talking about Proverbs. I'm sure there's some evangelical person or some Orthodox person that has mentioned Proverbs. I'm not being literal in every statement I make. Okay, this is another problem. People take every phrase and statement literally. And this there's a great scene in Downton Abbey, of all things, where Lady Grantham is actually sort of mocking and making fun of Mrs. Crawley, because as a middle class, sort of almost puritanically minded, hardworking middle class person, everything is very strict, very literal, very moral. And there's this one scene, I don't remember what it is, where there's this interaction where Lady Grantham sort of makes fun of her and talks about how her literalism is very middle class. And you think it's an insult, but she's actually making an interesting point, which is that one of the flaws of that mindset of the middle class and of this sort of Protestant work ethic that we think about from Max Weber is a lack of nuance, a lack of leisure. Leisure is not bad. So in all of this advice that I'm giving you, you should not think that I'm telling you to never have leisure. Leisure is actually very important. If you look at the creation week, the seventh day of rest partly also has oftentimes in a lot of theological writings included the notion of leisure. And by leisure, I don't mean you go and engage in depraved activities. I'm just saying that you should have a time for fun, for the arts. Remember what was our first quote from Ecclesiastes? There's an appropriate time for everything. A time for dance, a time for mourning. There's a time for leisure. Leisure can't be your whole life. And your whole life can't be focused on, I don't know, weird things, weird moral obsessions or something, whatever. We want well-rounded people is what we're talking about here. Remember this idea of Renaissance man? There used to be this idea of a man who was good at many things and had many pursuits. And the whole purpose of the liberal arts education from the Middle Ages was to produce this well-rounded man. A man who knew some of music. He knew some about the visual arts. He knew some about philosophy. He knew some about history. He knew some about literature. He knew some about theology. The well-rounded man. I think it's better to shoot for that than the modern idea of the hyper-specialist. The guy who's mastered everything to do with earthworms. Okay, that just seems weird and nerdy, and who cares? Okay, I mean, earthworms, I guess they're interesting at a 1% degree. Like, they're 1% interesting. But it's just not that interesting, right? And I'm not dissing the guy out there who's doing his PhD on earthworms, whatever, man. But my point is that the modern world is hyper fixated on specialization. And it just seems to me like it makes a lot more sense if education was about creating a well-rounded, intellectually virtuous person. The intellectual virtues is something that used to be cultivated that has, I think, been lost because now education is brainwashing. It's propaganda, mind control, brainwashing. So, if you're a young guy, here's what we want to learn. And then we want to start learning about this, which is thinking about how to have our own business. And it's odd, not many people tell guys to do this anymore. Used to be, when I was young, like I remember older men saying, hey, think about, rather than working for somebody, which is not necessarily bad. You don't have to start a business. But if you actualize your potentialities and begin your own business and think about how you could maximize your talents to create a business, I don't know what that is. It may not work for you. You may be perfectly well adapted and fit for a trade. And it seems like trades are still probably a much better approach than education. I think very few people should go into higher education unless it's something like engineering or math or something, right? The hard stuff. Science, tech, engineering stuff. Maybe education works for that. I would not recommend anybody go for the arts. Okay, unless there's some school somewhere where there's a really solid still classical education program, which there's not a whole lot of those except for maybe some private schools or some Catholic schools. Unless it's that, like, don't go to any arts departments. No, no way. Because the whole goal of that is to weed you out of being a professor of those things. And so the leftists, the weird left, they figured out a long time ago that they could leverage so much influence and power by capturing the arts. And they totally have. Now, that's starting to weaken nowadays as we see the legacy stuff going away. But like 20 years ago, I mean, the left had absolute monopoly control of the arts. Totally. 100%. Hollywood, music, whatever other mediums there are. We're starting to see that kind of weaken. That's starting to fall because the legacy, it was all built on the legacy. So we're in the sweet spot where if you want to, if you have the drive, the initiative, you can learn and be a Renaissance man or something shooting for that. You can go learn to shoot at the shooting range. You can get self-defense stuff, okay? The gun culture stuff is really annoying to me. I like guns. I have multiple guns. I think it's a great thing. But the gun culture stuff is super annoying. If you can handle it, get into that. Have fun with that. They get on my nerves, but maybe that's for you. Maybe you're a gun bro. The gun bros are better than the beer bros. I'll put it that way. Like most of the dudes that I met into guns are way more solid dudes than any of the beer bros. So definitely guns over that. And then, yeah, so you want that for self-defense. Right? So if you're going to have a wife, you need to start thinking about protecting your family and guarding your domain when you have children and so forth. I mean, these are just like basics, but I mean, dudes don't get these basics anymore. I mean, does Jordan Peterson even tell the dudes to practice self-defense? I mean, all these young dudes have looked up to Jordan Peterson, and I'm like, did Jordan Peterson tell you to learn to defend yourself even? Maybe he does. I don't know. But yeah, people are saying, what about boxing or hand-to-hand combat? Absolutely. Anything. Remember to head on over to chalk.com. Let's see, we got another super chat here from... Did I miss one? Frankie D, $3. I know many Gen X constantly say that they're tougher than the iPhone generation. I drank water out of a hose. That's probably true. I'm thinking of all the Gen X people I know. On the average, I said that they're fairly tough people. I mean, all the Gen X dudes I can think of, probably all the Gen X dudes I can think of in general, I think are tougher than Gen Z on the average. Now but I mean, there's some tough Gen Z people too. Meanwhile, they spend a lot of time talking about their team at the Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, the Gen X are super sports worshippers. Yeah, just like the boomers. I don't think you start seeing the move away from sports worship until you get to millennial and lower. And because I'm right on the cusp of Gen X and millennial, I'm both. I'm on that cusp of people beginning to not get sick of the stupid pro sports stuff. It's just all weird. It's brainwashing. It's all social engineering, obviously. By the way, we were saying that for a long time. I first heard Alex say that in like 2004 when Alex would go on these rants about football. I didn't even like football, but I was already done with spurts and Sports Hole. You want to play sports? Let's watch Sports Hole. I was done with that when I was 16 or 17. So I totally quit caring about that stuff. But and there's a lot of millennials still that watch pro sports. By the way, I am pro UFC, so I think that definitely people that like UFC, in my experience, they're typically pretty red pill based dudes. By red pill, I mean conspiracy woke, the original meaning. Conspiracy stuff is fairly adjacent to a lot of the UFC world, via Joe Rogan and stuff. And a lot of the UFC guys, they tweet out, conspiracy stuff. So there's some positive aspects there to you. I like UFC for sure. Frankie D, $5. Do you have advice? But I mean, I wouldn't spend all my time watching UFC all day. That's lame. Do you have advice for guys who spent their 20s asleep at the wheel, but now they're in their 30s and they want to get their life on track? Well, same principles here. So, it partly depends on how bad off your life is when you say get it back on track. So, I mean, are you living in a halfway house? Are you a single dude in a one-bedroom apartment? Are you divorced with a house? I mean, it kind of depends on what your situation is, but it's never too late to start learning about better application of money and investing. It's never too late to fix your diet, get all the crap out of it. If you're in a bad situation with like gut issues, then you need to go carnivore. It's never too late to start learning something like philosophy, history, theology. It's never too late to buy and hodl more Bitcoin. That's never too late. I can't tell you what to do. It's not registered financial advice. I'm talking about what I do. So, the other thing too is to start small. So a lot of people have said over the years things like, I want to start doing the media and the YouTube and the podcast like you do. It's very easy. No, it's not. No. So 10 years of blogging before I had a book. 10 years of writing before a book. And then many years of podcasting where the podcasting was unbearable and it sucked. Then I felt like it was getting better and I could get a bit of an audience, right? And then more and more video stuff. That then snowballed. So you got to think about building and building and building and building. And you have to keep at it consistently. And, like doing this kind of stuff, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 years of grinding at it, and you don't see a lot of audience attention and attraction. And you're going to get demoralized, and you're going to give up. But people don't realize, people think that, oh, you just sit down and talk. Yeah, but I've been sitting down and talking for hours for 14 years. And, I mean, I'm not saying I'm the best, but I think it's decent enough to have an okay audience. I mean, I've been doing this full time for 7 or 8 years now. This has been my job for that long, almost a decade. So, but people don't recognize, they don't appreciate the grind, dog. People don't recognize and appreciate the grind. People think, oh, you don't have a real job, you just sit on no, this is a lot of work. Do you understand that from the time that I wake up until, and Jamie can tell you this, until about midnight or 1 o'clock, all of that time is devoted to what I do, Jay's analysis. So whether it's 2 or 3 podcast interviews a day, whether it's mailing out the books, whether it's running the website, getting the content for the paid and the unpaid, doing the thumbnails, doing the clips, we do all of this. I do almost all of my own stuff. And I'm at the point where I probably should have some people working for me. I just haven't had the time and the attention to focus on that. So anyway, plus I have to keep up with reading a bunch of stuff. So hot Cheeto Lays, it's all your time, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And if you have the chance to try to become your own boss, if you're a motivated, talented, creative individual, you need to figure out how to move into being your own boss. Because if you're working for some fat bitch manager, you're going to be miserable until you're your own boss. So figure out how to do it. And devote as much time and effort and energy into making that happen as you can. Now, if you're a quiet, introspective dude, you're probably not going to be having a podcast. Okay? So you have to think about what you're good at. I mean, there's people who do like, they like play with, they like fix parts on shit and have a giant YouTube channel fixing weird motors or something. I mean, there's a dude that talks about philosophy. I forget his name, that chunky dude. I'm not dissing him. I forget his name. But that chunky dude who talks about philosophy and lenses. You know what I'm talking about? He's got a huge channel, like 200,000 subscribers. And it's like this really abstract, philosophical, platonic stuff. And he talks about cameras and lenses for like 2 hours. I forget his name, but like so. I mean, we're at a juncture where weird stuff kind of works in a good way. I mean, this channel's weird. I mean, the things we talk about, people it mystifies them. Are you the movie guy, or do you talk about the religion stuff, or do you do debates, or what is this weird so-called comedy video? I don't get that. So we're at this juncture where weird stuff actually works. I mean, look at TikTok. It's just straight up schizo stuff. So, yeah. Hot Cheeto lady. She's back. Katy Perry is back. Sending them fat super chats. $69. You're gonna hear me roar. Oh, 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 oh. Did y'all see that? That's the cringiest video of all time. I'm not joking. Where it was Hillary and... who's Hillary's daughter? Chelsea. Hillary and Chelsea. So there's an insight into the worst things. That's at the bottom of the pits of hell right there. So when you go to hell, when you go to the bottom, to the lowest pit in Dante's Inferno, where Satan's like upside down in ice or whatever, that song of them singing is playing at all times. Anyway, it's not really Katy Perry that's super chatting, so that's just a dumb joke. We are all getting out of the ghetto via this stream. This was an informative, uplifting stream. That's what I'm talking about. We're all going to make it over here on this channel. Guys, if you would hit like and share, thank you so much. We had a lot of fun. I had a bunch more notes, but I might just save it for a separate stream. We had so much fun getting sidetracked with with Randy Balls' men's conference, and then we got sidetracked with that playa who was showing us how to play the ladies over on TikTok. Alpha Dom. Shout out to Alpha Dom with that circle head, with that sloth boy tooth going its own direction. When they named that band One Direction, they was naming it after that dude's tooth. Anyway, be sure and get some of that Lore coffee. Use the link in the show description. Lore coffee. That's FDA's Orthodox coffee supporting brand right there. Lore coffee. You support him and myself and our Orthodox coffee friends over at Lore Coffee. Use the promo code J50 to get 50% off all those great chalk products. And guys, remember, you've got to come to our live event June 22nd in Las Vegas. Even if you're in the surrounding area, please come to that event because it's a party. I promise you, it's not boring lectures. It's an infotainment epic party with Jamie Kennedy, who, dude, he's a blast. He's really funny. Isaac Weishaupt, Illuminati Watcher, in person. Me, Jamie, Isaac, all in person. How could you not come to this? I don't care if you're 3 or 4 hours away. It's worth coming. Even if you're in LA, come back to it. Get the tickets. This is new material. This is not the talk that I did last year. This is a totally different hour-and-a-half talk. Jamie has done, her talk is Jamie's Talk 2.0. Alpha Dom the realist. That's what I'm talking about. And by the way, if you're fussing, I don't ever meet any girls. I just want to meet a girl. I just want to meet a girl. To come to our live event. There are ladies that come to our live event. Did you know that? Did you ever think about, I don't want to meet a girl. Well, how about a live event? Come meet a girl there. Dude. That's what I'm talking about.